Blacks and Springboks find out the Tri-Nations live.
What about that?
Plus, live cricket, baseball, boxing and MotoGP.
Now look at that. Wow.
From the web to high definition, Fox Sports is the name of the game this August.
This program brought to you by Harvey Norman. There's a store near you. Hungry Jack's Whopper, official burger of the AFL. Bunnings Warehouse, where lowest prices are just the beginning. And Jim Beam, the bourbon.
Well, having won their past 4 matches at Manuka Oval, the Sydney Swans are more than happy to be playing an away game here in Canberra. But with the likes of Adam Goodes, Leo Barry and Michael O'Loughlin all sidelined through injury, they face a stern test this afternoon, particularly against a Bulldogs side who had their measure.
He's in vogue, so it seems is this. Good on those who learn from others' mistakes.
The difference between that and that is remarkable, isn't it? It's. I don't know whether you can put a dollar value on it.
Tipping, this bloke won't do this again. Yes, the coach's box is for people who take their job seriously.
I got to play golf tomorrow and it's 28 degrees in Port Douglas, so...
Maybe he should invite Nida. He looks like he needs a friend. New kid on the block, Rawlings, has found a good one in Jake King. Coaches love players who put their body on the line. Players who intimidate their opponents. Most of all, they love players with that special star quality.
You remember the show? MacIver.
Yeah, MacIver, yeah.
MacIver.
Hey,
Colby, how do you that? I don't know. There's a bit of a lookalike for you.
Well, that's the week that was. Let's check out the latest odds from TAB Sportsbet on tonight's match. It's a big one, the Western Bulldogs and Port Adelaide. I know you're an astute gambler, Pickers. What would your money be on?
I'd be seriously considering the Western Bulldogs over 39.5 tonight. I think they'll get their act together.
All right, well, they really love their footy up here and they've had some cracking matches over the years. Here's 5 of the best moments from AFL at the top end. Fantastic effort, and Aker is doing the handstand.
Well, is that a break in team rules?
Maybe as a once-off. Up here. Willifee second. I think you'll find it is. 8 points the margin. Make that 14 points the margin. Michael, you've been the hero. Just live it. Like a throw.
Oh, striker.
A striker. Oh, Jingo. Oh, no.
Doing a good impersonation. We've seen it all.
He's got the high knees going.
And it's happened again.
Yeah, this time of the year, the heat's got to him.
He's got a good tan, the boy.
Tanned. Where's the board shorts, though, obviously?
He's off through the crowd. Obviously, friends helping him with his exit.
Chaplin. Rodan. Kicks it around the body. What's he doing? He's going the other way. How can you not know which way you're going and then celebrate it when you actually spot it at the other end?
Going another 5 minutes.
Who wins now?
It's awesome, Danny. I don't care.
Just has to clear the danger zone. Cornes is waiting. He wants a 50. It's going to be a 9-pointer. And Port Adelaide are going to win the game. Oh, play on. Where's it gone? It's above the end. Can you believe it? Too far out. Corey, play on. 6 seconds. Here they go. The first game that goes to full body. Struck the mark. K.Cornes. No, it won't count. Geelong, after an unbelievable heart-stopping finish, have won through to the semi-finals.
I don't want the world, I want you.
Wimbledon, the Ashes, the Bledisloe and the Open Championship. Magical moments. One massive month. Nothing beats July on Fox Sports. London's calling. The finals of Wimbledon. Tennis royalty out to claim the crown. The Ashes Anglo-Aussie relations stretched to breaking. The first and second tests, every ball live. And the battles in Britain continue. The Open Championship, the oldest major, every round live. Can Tigers stop Harrington lifting the jug for a third consecutive year? The Bledisloe, game one, game on. The Aussies fight to bring back the cup live.
Try to Australia.
MotoGP and Superbikes, 4 ripping rounds live. And every single game of the NRL and AFL is on Fox Sports.
Straight down with a ripping goal.
It's magnificent. It's amazing. It's a monster. Nothing beats July on Fox Sports.
Fantastic.
To win the game, everything has to work together. That's why the Toyota Orion has V6 power and outstanding fuel economy and exhilarating pace with impressive handling. The 200 kilowatt Toyota Orion. It's a whole new ballgame.
No matter how dark things seem, experience tells us in time things will change for the better. And those who understand risk can still see opportunities. Macquarie clients have access to the best research in Australia, constantly seeking new opportunities to not only protect, but grow their wealth, whatever the financial climate. Have a chat to your financial advisor or ask Macquarie how to prepare for brighter times ahead. Over 500,000 Australians already have.
Order any McValue meal after 10:30am at McDonald's and collect one of these cool mini board games for only $1. With Monopoly, Trivial Pursuit or Guess Who, there's fun for everyone. Only at McDonald's.
Buy now and save big in Harvey Norman's massive half-yearly clearance price smash. Italian-made Innocent front loader, 7.5 kg, now $5.96. Red Hot Remington men's shaver, down to a hot $29. Full HD price crash. 40-inch 1080p 100Hz Sony Bravia LCD TV, $1976. Hot price Whirlpool 445-litre frost-free fridge, $992. Get it all now on 19 months interest-free. No deposit, no interest, no repayments till 2011. Harvey Norman's half-yearly clearance on now.
This program brought to you by Bottle Mart. Chances are there's one close to you. Harvey Norman, there's a store near you. Bogue's Draft, from the pure waters of Tasmania. Bunnings Warehouse, where lowest prices are just the beginning. CGU, we put the U in CGU. And Jim Beam, the bourbon.
Punch from behind by Djakovic. James Hahn, you are
a genius. Tonight, Darwin takes centre stage. As our Indigenous game is celebrated by some of its biggest fans.
Superstars, great one-on-one. Akermanis, that is as good as it gets.
The Dogs and Power are ready to put on a show. The AFL is top-end bound.
Tackle from Westhoff.
It's footy, fast and furious.
Shot from Akermanis from 40. Who else could do it?
Well, Port Adelaide has lost 4 of its 5 interstate matches this year, and its average losing margin of 42 points is the worst of any side. Despite all that, the Power enter round 12 in 8th place with a 6-5 record. Although they've lost the last couple against the Western Bulldogs, they have won 2 of 3 against them here at TIO Stadium in Darwin. Well, we know there's not much home ground advantage here. Both teams have pretty good support. I don't think the heat actually favours anyone. The conditions, they've both specifically trained for it. It all shapes for a pretty good contest tonight, doesn't it?
Well, Port Adelaide bring their A game, and if they bring their competitive spirit and their competitive effort, they can beat any side, I think, on their day, but it's just been too few and far between at the moment, Smithy.
And it just goes to show, because when they do play well, they can, as you said, they can beat anyone, but it's just that inconsistency factor that's been a big problem for them in season 2009.
Well, we do know that that average losing margin of 42 points is the worst. That signifies inconsistency. That's the biggest problem facing Mark Williams. But when you look at the team tonight, even though there's a couple missing, they've got the talent on the park tonight to get the job done against a very good outfit.
Well, they're only in the grand final of the AFL 2 years ago, so we have a look at the lineup there. Look there, you're right, Jason. If you go through that team, every line's got some players that have played a lot of finals footy, been involved in footy. Yes, they've got some young players, but they've also got some stars.
Yeah, and then look at their forward line. D.Motlop comes back into the side. I reckon Dale Morris might pick him up tonight. Pickers, Tredrea, Ebert, they're all in good form. So their goal scoring power is actually quite good.
Well, you can hear the roar in the background. That's because the Western Bulldogs have entered the arena. And they are travelling beautifully in third place with a 7-4 record. They've won 4 of their last 5 matches. The only loss, a 2-point thriller against the Cats. They're 3 from 5 here at TIO Stadium. But, of course, those 2 losses were at the hands of Port Adelaide. Take us through their lineup, boys.
Well, Brian Lake and Dale Morris, obviously, in the back line. Just mentioned Jared Harbrow before, Pickers. It's giving them a lot of run through the midfield. Just straighten them up a little bit. Robert Murphy back into the side is very important for them.
Certainly is. Their midfield spread I really like. Board and cross, we know what you're going to get every week from those boys, but throw in Cooney, throw in the likes of Griffen, young Higgins, who is a terrific player. There are plenty of options they can run through that midfield, and their forward line's potent.
And also, they're obviously their bench, Giansiracusa, Eagleton and Gilbee, just provide some run up here.
Yeah, one of those players that you've got to keep an eye on tonight if you're the Western Bulldogs is David Rodan. We know that he's been up and down a bit, he's been dropped, but he bounces back. He doesn't mind getting a clip around the ear and responding, does he?
The best thing about David Rodan is he actually takes them on. Every single time he gets the ball and he's running towards goal, he takes an opponent on, and that's the best part about his game.
It's the speed from the stoppages. We were so good last week. We have a look at this footage. He does take him on, Rowan, you're right. And if you have a look at this, not a great chase there in the background, but this was at a pretty important time in the game, and he was very important, kicking 3 goals.
Well, there's one man that I want to speak to you about, Smithy. I want you to tell us a little bit, not Liam Pickering, but Liam Picken.
Yes,
tell us
Liam.
about a young man that's burst into the Western Bulldogs side and done some great jobs for him.
Yeah, he's a little bit of an unknown. 3 years down in the wilderness, down in Williamstown, and thought his AFL career was gone. Was given a chance on the rookie list because obviously the Western Bulldogs lacked a little bit of a tagging midfielder who was quick, who could obviously go with the opposition's best player or quickest player. And the thing is that he's actually done a job on some terrific stars in the AFL so far this year. He had, who did he have last week again? Figures.
Delidio took him to the cleaners last week. He's had Brent Harvey. There was an area of his game that needed to improve when they were a bit concerned about the Dogs, but was his kicking. He's actually now getting forward kicking goals as well. He's a really good young player.
He's also got a little bit of grunt in him, Pickers. He doesn't mind missing it, does he? We're not far off a start here. We'll be back with Dwayne Russell and all the action on the other side of the break.
Monday's massive night of AFL kicks off at 7:30 with all the latest highlights on AFL winners.
And nails a beauty.
Then live at 8:30, join James, Jared and Mike as they dissect all the hot AFL topics. 3 times Premiership captain turned coach Michael Voss joins them live on the couch with his take on the season so far. Monday's massive night of AFL. AFL winners 7:30, on the couch 8:30. Fox Sports 1.
At The Leaf Man, we know you only think about your gutters when you're faced with a problem. However, these problems can lead to major costs and damages, like water overflowing into your house because gutters are blocked, lice-infested birds and vermin nesting in the roof space, dirty water in your water tank, fire damage from embers in uncleared gutters. But then there's the risk of climbing ladders to clean gutters yourself, and the DIY leaf barriers that can add to the problem. Well, now there is a solution. The Leaf Man Gutter Guards, a complete range of products to suit your home and your budget, including the proven and preferred system installed across Australia for over 10 years. Manufactured from Blue Scope steel, it won't melt, burn or warp. The Leaf Man Gutter Guards ensure your gutters are custom fitted with the Gutter Guard best suited to your needs and conditions. So don't wait till you have a problem. Call the Leaf Man, your complete gutter guard specialist specialist, call now on 1300 888 743 for your free home assessment. The Leaf Man will show you how to protect your home with the superior gutter guard solution. The Leaf Man, the complete gutter guard specialist.
No deposit, no interest, no repayments till 2011. 19 months interest-free in Harvey Norman's massive half-yearly clearance. Buy now and save big. Electrical, computers, furniture, bedding in Manchester. We're slashing prices to clear the lot. Huge reductions on floor stock and run-out lines. Hurry, don't miss your chance to score a sensational bargain with 19 months interest-free. No deposit, no interest, no repayments till January 2011. Harvey Norman's half-yearly clearance on now.
Go!
Welcome back to TIO Stadium in Darwin as a beautiful day turns into a magnificent night here in Darwin. 30 degrees today and not a breath of wind, and magnificent conditions for football here at TIO Stadium tonight, and a good crowd in as we head downstairs to Rowan Smith. Welcome, Rowan.
Thanks very much, Dwayne. Well, you spoke about it. Absolutely perfect conditions, especially for a boundary rider, I suppose. I've sat in the rain the last couple of weeks, and certainly no rain tonight. Not a cloud in the sky, and you mentioned it, not a breath of wind. Around about 26, 27 degrees at the moment. It's a little bit warm for the players, but they've acclimatised over the last couple of months, training in the heat chambers, so both teams will be used to the heat. And one player that is making his debut for Port Adelaide tonight is Danny Meyer. He was the pick number 12 in the 2005 draft. With the mid-season rookie elevation now, he's come onto the Powers list, so he makes his Port Adelaide debut tonight, Dwayne.
Thanks for that, Rowan. Yes, 17 games with the Tigers. Port Adelaide were actually going to pick him up in that draft that Richmond took him in. They took him pick 12, 2005. Port Adelaide had their eyes on him as well, but he was gone by the time they had their first pick in that draft. So good luck to Danny Meyer, former South Australian, playing for a team from his old home state tonight, even if it's a long way from home. You saw the toss, Dominic Cassisi winning, dragged his boys back together. These two teams with some contrasting form coming in. Port Adelaide has won 2 of its past 5, but against Richmond and Fremantle, teams who are struggling at the bottom end of the ladder. The Bulldogs, they've won 4 of their past 5, and their only loss, that last kick loss to Geelong. They could have been the ones to topple the mighty Giant. So they're the favourites heading into this one tonight.
I think it's a case of we're waiting for one team to jump out of the mix and jump up with Geelong and St Kilda and be a possible contender. We haven't seen anyone do that yet. The Western Bulldogs have looked the most likely, but they've got to dispose of Port Adelaide tonight to take that next step.
They certainly do, and I've loved their last month. They're averaging nearly 20 goals a game over the last month, and they've been so efficient when they've got the ball forward. They've got their small forward line working really well. They've got a great spread in the midfield. In saying that, I like Port Adelaide. I think Port Adelaide are a really talented side. It's just the inconsistency of effort that you see in Port Adelaide from week to week. It's a bit of a toss of a coin every time they turn up. If they're on edge and they're on their game, they're more than capable of being able to match it with the Bulldogs. But these conditions are just so good for footy, for running footy. I think the Dogs might have a little bit too much speed.
Players moving to position. Good crowd in here at TIO Stadium. We're in early, enjoying a pre-game. And they've been waiting around for a while, a few of them grabbing autographs when the players got off the buses. And there is a real excitement in the air. Umpires tonight, Matt Stevick, Stuart Wen, and Craig Hendry. And we're about to get this one underway. Round 12. So most of these teams will week off next week, so you'd think they'd give it everything plus.
You see Thurstans there with the job on Welsh. Might struggle to keep up with Welsh. He's pretty quick on the lead. Good to see Rob Murphy back in. Interestingly, starting in defence.
Hudson and Brogan in the ruck to get this one underway. Perfect bounce to start it. Hudson, little flick back. Cooney, who's been in good form in recent weeks. Boyd shoots it back. Harbrow wanted to go backwards to go forward. And Meyer, first game, outmarked by Callum Ward. First game for Port Adelaide, that is, of course. Cooney heads inside 50. Thurstans, well, he beat him to that one. Handball a little too slick for Carr. Players dive in. It is a little slippery, even though we haven't had any rain today. And some players, as you can see, wearing gloves for that reason. A little sweaty as well. Some sweat on the ball. We'll get a ball up.
The Bulldogs making a quick change. Lindsay Gilbee on and Callum Ward off, boys.
Brogan with the flick back. Logan. And again, crunched in the middle of it. There might be a free here. High tackle. Cassisi dived in, and so too did Danny Meyer. And it's Danny Meyer's ball.
Dom, out you come.
Been in good form with Glenelg in the SANFL.
Well, here's a beautiful kick. One of the big strengths of Danny Meyer is he can actually really kick the ball.
You don't get taken pick 12 unless you can play. Heads wide. Akermanis, speaking of men who can play, made a little joke during the week about maybe having the swine flu, Jason Akermanis, and almost had to apologise for making light of it. He hasn't got it, even though we understand that maybe an Adelaide player or two might have it. Hargrave inside 50. Johnson!
It was a really good kick. It was a kick to advantage to Brad Johnson by Hargrave. He pushed down the ground, and pretty much the whole, every player on the ground is forward to the centre at the moment in the Bulldogs' end, so it might be one of those games where they try to slow it down. But if the Bulldogs can get it in there enough, you think their forward line's more than capable of kicking a big score again this evening.
18 goals, 12 this season, Brad Johnson. 2 goals, 2 last week. And we know he missed the big one against Geelong. This for the perfect start for the Dogs. Didn't look great off the boot, but looks fantastic when the umpire's doing that.
Yeah, the only thing that counts is what's written on the scoreboard. That's a goal. Here's Acker. Looked to take the mark. The ball punched out of the hands, perhaps. It's 6-1, half a dozen of the other, but it was a very good kick that moved it on quickly to Hargrave, and the penetration of his kick just to get it over top of Chaplin, who was playing in front of Johnson. While all that's been going on, been some tremendous work. Liam Picken on Daniel Pearce, working him overtime.
All right, he can lean.
This keeps on keeping on. Brad Johnson turns 33 next month.
Matthew Boyd and K.Cornes will be a good battle. Both starting on a wing.
Yes, and both coming off outstanding games last week. Hudson high. Brogan stayed low, got the baton down. But to Griffen, the 360, got a handball out as you heard. Hudson high. Cooney attacked it. Straight through Chaplin. Goes long towards goal and he misses. Adam Cooney coming off that 33 possession performance against Richmond last week, and it's great to see him back in form, the Brownlow medalist.
I want to get down to Rowan Smith. You mentioned to me off air, Rowan, that Cooney, when he gets the ball in full flight, is super, super quick.
He is lightning. He just got the ball in, and he probably could have taken a couple of more steps there, Pickers. But unfortunately, he just missed the ball. But you can just see when he gets the ball, his pace is just unbelievable.
So Meyer to Thurstans to Salopek has put Adelaide stick to the boundary. Tredrea, first touch of the night for him. He thumps it along towards attacking 50. Ebert's down there, so too Westhoff. But the fist of Lindsay Gilbee, who started on the bench, as Rowan told you, thumps it out. There's Murphy and Ebert.
It's an interesting matchup, that one. Murphy, we know, has missed a bit of footy, and we know he's on song. He's probably nearly their best forward, and he's going to be eased back into the back line.
Carr, he may have kicked that out of play on the full. He has, and Motlop, of the Daniel variety, says, why didn't you centre it? He probably did mean to. Yeah, Robin Murphy been out for 3 weeks with that hamstring that he tore against Melbourne in round 8. So maybe this is just a little precaution.
Jace, is it a good way to ease someone back? Like a natural forward who started his career as a backman, starting him on Brett Ebert in the back line?
Yeah, well, look, I think the worry or the concern is the stress they're putting on the knees. And as a forward, you lead up, you twist, turn, come back. As a backman, the ball's in front of you. You're forever running towards it, so it's a little bit more straight line.
Hargrave turns it over. Thurstans. Welsh beat him on the lead, but the kick was poor. K.Cornes sends it wide, and Ebert takes the mark.
Well, he's an important player for Port Adelaide, Brett Ebert. He's been, if you listen to reports, he's been hanging by a thread for a lot of the season. He's been just on the cusp of getting dropped, and he just does enough to keep his spot. We know at his best he can be quite devastating as a small power forward. And when he gets on the lead and does these sort of things, he can be extremely damaging tonight. But he's got to kick straight. He's got to make the most of his opportunities.
There's 14 goals from 11 games, and Robbie Gray is on the bench because Ebert's back in a little bit of form. And they've been sharing that small forward position this year. And unfortunately, he misses, does Little Herb, as they call him back home. Gilbee.
This is what confronts the defenders now as they try to bring the ball in. A full pretty much a full ground zone, and that's why you need good users by foot like Lindsay Gilbee to bring it out, because it's important to get it to about where it is right now.
So Harbrow, Boyd and Murphy share it. Low trajectory, and that's a good pluck by Daniel Cross to Akermanis. Sends it long. Hill, full forward. Fisted away though by Meyer and then kicked into the bushes by Brad Johnson. I don't know if we'll see that ball again, and I reckon that's a good thing. If you've got it out there, keep it.
It was a good release by Cross because he gave it to a player that could run, and that was Akermanis. And I reckon players that aren't super quick, like the Cross, those type of players, he releases players that can actually use the footy and really run, and that's what he's very good at doing.
Yep. Gee, they're honest here in Darwin. Someone came back from the car park.
It normally goes in the bag. Off it goes home.
Cornes long and Salopek. Good second effort. Handball not so good. Stolen by Boyd. Hands it over the top. Giansiracusa. He's the number 1 assists man in the league at the moment. Wanted to assist to score here. And Higgins. Kick smothered. Not rushed through, of course, by Cornes. He probably would have been better off.
That's a good kick.
Akermanis high. Meyer and Salopek the fists. Thurstans. Good contest at the moment. Lays the tackle on Cooney. And we'll get a ball up.
The game's changed, hasn't it, when you think about the Akermanis. Didn't even look at the goal there. Now, we know it's the unselfish thing to do, but...
And he has kicked some of the most stunning individual goals of all time, but that is just an automatic reaction to kick it back into the hotspot.
Didn't cross his mind, and the players would have known that when he was tucked in on the boundary like that, to get to that spot. They were outnumbered on that occasion.
Will Minson threw that out. There's Aker on screen with the hair. It's almost green, the hair, tonight. It's that blonde.
Might have been in the pool too much today, and it's gone green.
Cornes sends it along. Robbie Gray now on and on. Can't take the mark though. Westhoff held by one arm. Good tackle that by Hargrave.
They are perfecting the art of tackling and holding the bloke by the arm.
Dangerous kick.
Laid. Can't cut it off. Minson takes on the tackler. P.Burgoyne. Rodan. Tried to duck out of it, but ducked into a tackle. Cassisi back with the flow. Logan, Laid, and some space. Thurstans. Probably his best game for about 3 years last week, and he turns it over. Cross, Akermanis. Look out, Aker's on 50. Wants to give it to Johnson, does. Johnson from 45, heads goalward. Getting back, Giansiracusa couldn't get back far enough out of play on the full.
Got out of jail, Toby Thurston. He was trying to set up some run out of defence, but unfortunately he wasn't on the same wavelength as his teammate. Ended up handballing it straight to the opposition. He got off light.
Yeah, that 24 possession game last week certainly was his best game in a long time, Toby Thurstans, and with Alapate Carlisle out, they need him to stand tall in one of the key defensive posts. Pettigrew.
Plenty of numbers in the corridor here, as you can see. There's not a lot to kick to. They're going to have to break and spread.
Tredrea. Lake with him.
Even that low percentage.
So a thump down to Boyd, and now back to Lake. Just a poke pass. Hargrave. Harbrow. Swift through traffic. Minson pokes it inside 50 and misses Aker. Salopek. Man's got to know his limitations, and the short pass from Will Minson probably not the best option.
I was just going to say, Dwayne, that Dale Morris has got the job on the man with the bag of tricks, Daniel Motlop. Motlop's gone off for a spell. Morris's next opponent is Marlon Motlop.
Yep.
He's got the brothers. Cousins, I should say.
It's all right. There's a lot of them up here, and they're a fantastic sporting family. Westhoff knocks it down to Pearce. He thumps it long. Robbie Gray in position A. Can't take the mark. Good spoil by Callum Ward, and he won a free.
He did terrific, Callum Ward. What he did was use strength to hold front position. Gray got caught in two minds. Does he go for the big sit? Does he just try and stand tall and get the ball over the top? But Ward was strong enough to hold his position, and in the end drew the free kick.
Gilbee to Eagleton to Hargrave. Half-back flank. Pops it up hoping for Cross. And he outmarks P.Burgoyne with ease. P.Burgoyne lost the ball and the man in the end. Johnson, he lost the ball. Chaplin, Logan, Thurstans, another possession. And this one is a good one. Danny Meyer, who's looked good early in his first game for the Power. Releases Thurstans into space. He can go all the way here.
There's nothing on long though.
Hands it to Tredrea. Cassisi, still no one in the square. Thurstans, it continues on. He might get the shot away. He does, but it's smothered and out of play as a win for Port Adelaide. We'll get a ball in.
He looked up, Chase. And Tredrea was on. He should have gone short with a chip-up pass, I believe, to Tredrea and used him. He then got himself into trouble where he had to actually handball it to Tredrea, who was flat-footed, and then rely on him to get it back to him. But it nearly ended up working.
It was a great run. He probably deserved a goal in the end.
It was a terrific run by Port Adelaide. That's what they need to do because they ran through the corridor.
Hargrave. And there's modern football. He changes direction from one pocket to the other to a one-on-one. Westhoff beaten for it by Gilbee. So Matthew Westhoff couldn't stop that one. The kick poor, turned over Surgeon. Wide Salopek. Port Adelaide yet to get a goal. Wide Justin Westhoff, and Hargrave thumps it out again.
And that last kick across goal, very dangerous one. I reckon Mark Williams will be disappointed with Matthew Westhoff losing his feet. Dropped out of the contest. He had the height in the marking contest, but was too easily taken to ground.
Lade and Hudson go at it. Callum Ward, handball over the top. Giansiracusa had it but lost it. Tackle too high there on Harbrow. And Harbrow to take the free. One of 6 Indigenous players playing here tonight. We're at Harbrow, not from the territory though. He's from Cairns. Almost another turnover there for the Dogs, but they come away with it. Eagleton, former Port Adelaide player. Original zone selection by Port Adelaide. Nathan Eagleton played the 56 games for them. Rodan, to his own advantage, skips through as he loves to do. Got a push in the back.
Advantage here.
Advantage for D.Motlop. Sees the lead from Tredrea and hits him with a spear.
Yeah.
The next kick's the worry.
Well, he could go the whole way.
He may get the trip. Doesn't look that confident. Well, now that at least Westhoff's pushed back to the goal square.
They do push a lot of players up the field, Port, and the problem is sometimes you get to half forward, player gets possession out of range, but there's no one there to actually kick to.
31 goals, 15 this year. That's long. And just tapped back on the line. Motlop trying to weave some magic. Callum Ward trying to hit the behind post and successful. Ball in.
Western Bulldogs will be pretty happy with the matchup of Hargrave and Justin Westhoff at the moment. Westhoff yet to touch the footy. Hargrave's had 7 possessions in the back half.
Brogan the slap down and lays the tackle on Meyer. Oh boy, that's a harsh one.
Tried to break through too, was the comments from the umpire.
I don't know if the amount of people tackling is a determining factor on whether you get the free away. I've never seen that in the book. Trying to break through one's fine, but 2, no way. Back inboard, Cooney. Eagleton. Griffen calls for it long. It's a little shorter to Morris. Dale Morris takes the mark. Game number 99 for him. Game 100 next week at the G against North Melbourne. Big one for him to celebrate because it's been a long road to the 100. Gilbee, Callum Ward, who's having an influence. Position number 4.
Here's Hargrave again. Now, this is a concern for Port Adelaide.
Akermanis, the concern for everyone.
Minson wants it long. He's one out with Thurston.
So Thurstans turned around. Minson with the strength. Easy.
Well, if there's a big bloke in the square, the one thing you've got to do is use him, and that means kicking it long and high, quickly, give him a one-out contest. That's exactly what Minson wanted, and he rewarded the good kick from Akermanis with a strong mark and should kick a goal.
He admitted that up here last year, he wasn't ready for the heat, and he was exhausted after the warm-up, and really played catch-up all night in that game. Good start early here for Big Will.
Again, didn't look the prettiest kick off the boot, but when you're that close, it doesn't have to be that good to go through. I just like the fact that Akermanis had a look at what was ahead of him very quickly. He said, I've got the big bloke there. He's one out in the goal square. Well, if we're going to play it tall, let's kick it high. They don't often have the big, high-marking, tall forwards. So when you have got it there, kick it long quickly. That's what Akermanis did. Smart play from Akermanis and terrific work from Minson.
And in the modern terminology, Jason, what you're saying is Akermanis is one of the best decision makers in the game.
Absolutely. And you'd expect him to be with the experience that he has.
Look at this one here. Justin Westhoff's off the ground, hasn't touched the ball. Hargrave's had 9 possessions, so they've now thrown Lade forward to try and stretch them in defence. But the run that Hargrave's providing at the moment has been outstanding.
Brogan to P.Burgoyne. I'm not too sure where he was headed with that, but he headed straight to Giansiracusa. who's heading straight towards a attacking 50 lead from Welsh. Over the back, Minson, the look away handball if you don't mind, to Welsh. Hill, Eagleton, all the way outside 50, and that's a good tackle. Did he have prior opportunity there? He got a handball away over the boundary line. Look at this one again. Took him on and then handballed it over the line.
Sure he got any fist on that, actually.
But he didn't take on two. Broken.
Callum Ward's ducked out the back here.
Carr stole it, gave to Salopek. Heads wide, Laid on the move. Beaten for it by Hargrave. This will be possession 10 to Lake. Hudson. They're starting to flower now, the Dogs. They're really starting to move. Lake inside 50. The diving mark hit the deck. Not paid to Griffen. He claims he got it.
I thought it was a good decision to make it. I thought it hit the ground as he tried to take the sprawling chest mark. You see the ball comes in, it slips through and hits the ground. That's a terrific decision by the umpire.
Well, the umpire got him out of jail with the "I'll ball it up."
Well, it should have been holding the ball.
There was prior opportunity.
No, but he should have said play on. The umpire normally calls play on, get it out, get it out. If you don't get it out, you're dead. But the umpire gave him a big out there and said, "I'll ball it up." Gray, heads wide, Motlop, got it, on 50.
He's the player that I think has to have a night out if Port Adelaide are going to get over the Western Bulldogs.
Certainly is.
He's lightning quick on the lead, and it's great respect the fact that he's got Morris on him. Dale Morris, I should say, who is one of the best defenders in the competition.
Missed the last 2 weeks, Daniel Motlop. He's back in his old town, and he's back in town.
Couldn't agree with you more, Jason. When you look at Motlop, he's so mercurial. He brings other players into the game when he's on song. He's nearly a nightmare matchup for any defender. As good as Dale Morris is, he'll have his work cut out. Even that approach to kick a goal, but I like the run from defence. P.Burgoyne needs to get involved in the game. Robbie Gray started on the interchange bench. He's a very good player, Robbie Gray. He's kicked this to space and made Motlop run. And not only is he a good size, Motlop, he's actually very quick as well.
Yep.
That's an important goal for Port Adelaide.
One of 4 Port Adelaide players playing tonight from the Territory. Daniel Motlop, P.Burgoyne, Marlon Motlop, and also Tom Logan's from up here, another Territory boy from Waratahs. Western Bulldogs don't have any players from the Territory, and yet they've got the majority support. They've been playing their games and playing their trade up here. Higgins with the clearance. Inside 50 quickly. Cooney tried to go off the deck. Meyer, Welsh, Cooney, Johnson, can't finish.
Boys, an interesting matchup that I've just been watching the last 5 minutes is Ryan Griffen on David Rodan. Everywhere David Rodan goes, Ryan Griffen is going with him at the moment. So just obviously trying to curb David Rodan's influence. We're trying to get Ryan Griffen into the game as well.
Westhoff just off the bench and can't mark here. Meyer tried to shoot it out. Gilbee kicked it off the deck. Thurstans took him on and then dropped it. That's dead.
You mentioned Rodan and also Griffen. Griffen's only had the one touch, as has Rodan.
Nobody on the mark here.
The umpire was. And he takes off and makes Port Adelaide pay full price. They lead by 13.
You could see it a mile off because Thurstans was the one who was penalised, but as soon as he realised his man was probably back in the attacking 50 loose somewhere, he took off to mark him. No one came and stood the mark. I mean, he's a good enough kick at the best of times, but letting him run an extra 5 metres inside 50, Lindsay Gilbee, he's not going to miss. That is just a lapse in discipline, a lapse in concentration for Port Adelaide.
th goal of the season for Lindsay Gilbee. Biggest lead of the game, 13 points. And the ball up. Minson, little whack back was good, and free kick to Griffen. Takes off the side of the boot. Minson, hunted down by K.Cornes. In fact, K.Cornes lets him go. He went to his own man, Giansiracusa.
That's poor, actually.
So Cooney back to Minson. Long to the top of the square. Higgins was up, chapping the crumb. Takes on the tackler. Got off the handball to Surgeon. K.Cornes, D.Motlop, and now Surgeon through the midfield. Little wobbler towards Ebert. He has to mark that. They had 3 there, the Dogs. Make that 4. So Murphy got it from Eagleton and gives it long, and Cross can go all the way. Same pocket, goal just kicked by Gilbee. Johnson got a touch on it, couldn't mark it. Thurstans, Chaplin, that was a golden opportunity there for the Dogs.
It was, and Daniel Cross just didn't want to have a shot for goal. I think he needed to be selfish, or needed to at least back his own skill to run to 40 and have the shot, rather than try to pinpoint a pass to Johnson, who was 1 against 2.
He's not a big kicker anymore, Daniel Cross. He had 4 kicks and 20 handballs last week. He's the number 1 handballer in the competition, but
you've still got to make the right decisions, and sometimes that means you kick when you have.
Well, I think you summed it up well. He needs to back himself, because Daniel Cross, whilst he is a very good by the hand, he needs to be able to get into a position to become a more dangerous midfield by kicking a few more goals when the opportunity presents.
Two, we are going to keep a close eye on tonight. Daniel Pearce, he's a superb player. But the criticism is, when he gets tagged at times, he doesn't work hard enough. And by working hard, I mean not just chasing the footy, working hard in attack and defence. He's only had the 2 possessions, and he's not covering a lot of ground.
Justin Westhoff towards Robbie Gray. Harbrow with him. Gray about to swoop. He spent it before he earned it there. He looked up and he wanted laid, but he had to pick the ball up first. Hargrave, Hudson, turnover by Picken. Pearce on cue, couldn't do anything with it. Harbrow ducks through a couple. The seas parted for him, and he finds Morris.
That was terrific play by Harbrow, and he's been doing it for the last 3 or 4 weeks.
They've reinvented him down there, haven't they? And he looks well suited to a back pocket.
Cross. This is a bit of a worry too. Cross and Cassisi at the moment.
Giansiracusa and Cooney. Nice grab. Maybe too far out to score, Adam Cooney, but he can launch a long ball.
I reckon if Mark Williams is looking at the stats right now, he's having a look at the contested possessions column. It says Western Bulldogs 34, Port Adelaide 18.
And you know what it tells you also? That when they don't win the contested possession, Port Adelaide, they don't win.
Yeah.
So it's an area they need to address, and they need to address
play
really
on.
quickly.
Oh, he's called play on.
It took his full 30. Welsh trying to get a palm on it.
We haven't seen that happen too often, Dwayne.
No, maybe they've decided to crack down on it.
And the umpire actually said, you're not having a shot, so play on.
Jace, how can the umpire call that if he's thinking that he's not going to have a shot?
He's reading the mind of the player, Smith. He's making an assumption there, isn't he? It's an interesting call by the umpire.
Griffen stole it from the pack, kicks a brilliant goal.
Worrying signs already, Pickers. Very worried if I'm in the Port Adelaide coaching box right now.
Well, the major areas of the game that you want to win, and if you're going to beat the Bulldogs, you've got to win the contested area. Clearances are important. They've been fumbly, Port Adelaide, 15-8 the tackle count as well. So the intent of the Bulldogs at the moment, far superior than Port Adelaide's. And Griffen just getting his hands on the footy. He's had a lot of the ball, but he's a terrific player.
Well, they're just winning so many statistical areas. They've had an extra 30-odd possessions, the Bulldogs. They've also had more tackles, which is an indictment when you've got the ball more often. They've had twice as many inside 50s, twice as many contested possessions, twice as many clearances. This is a disastrous start for Port.
Knock it out, Dom. You dived on it. Well done.
Cassisi shuffled it out to Adelaide. Little flick on Pearce. K.Cornes, Surgeon. D.Motlop with him, Akermanis. Well harassed by Aker. Boundary line his friend. And he needs some. He takes it out.
Good guys. Good contest. Let him go.
Little slap. Laid and Hudson again. Flick on by Rodan. And now he's got 3 to beat. And he pounces on it. Beats them all. Had the spin.
Oh, brilliant.
Lost in the tackle. Gave up to Cassisi. He dropped it. Still alive, this ball. Hargrave, another possession. Cross. Harbrow the turnover. Carr shrugs the tackle. P.Burgoyne. K.Cornes, not a big goal kicker, won't kick one here. Lake gets back, takes the mark.
Well, Rodan was outside for a handball too. K.Cornes, instead of trying to throw on his boot, should have used Rodan, who was free.
A turnover here, and they're not going to make them pay. It'll be Hargrave to mop it up. Lake. Little wide one is okay towards Eagleton.
Should have marked it, Ebert. Should have marked that.
Griffen with the outside of the foot. How's that for a pass to Hill?
A banana bullet.
That is amazing. Over the head of Johnson. Chaplin dropped the mark and Johnson could go all the way. He doesn't. Centering ball, Akermanis needs to feed back. Surgeon did well, used the body, hands it up to Thurstans to Lade. Put Adelaide out of trouble for the time being. Tom Logan.
Well, they should have been having a shot at the other end. Brett Ebert drops a regulation mark over his head. And then they nearly conceded a goal at the other end because Troy Chaplin dropped the regulation mark over his head. So I don't know if the conditions are that greasy, Dwayne, or if they're just lacking confidence at the moment, Port Adelaide.
Well, Rowan Smith was talking about the sweat factor on the ball, and that's why some players are wearing gloves. As Surgeon sends it long. Back of the pack, Salopek almost collected that, but Lake stole it from him.
They're queuing up out here.
Minson. Little handoff. Griffen short to Johnson. Ward. And now Akermanis in a one-on-one. Can he get back onto it? Collects, takes it out with a little help from Pettigrew. Ball in.
I reckon watching the Bulldogs bring that ball from defence, if you come here down here last night, you thought you watched them have their last training session, you would have seen something similar.
Yeah.
You know, just cruising down the wing by themselves, 3 or 4 options. Port have got to be a bit more physical than they've been at the moment and put a bit more pressure on here.
Lade front spot down to Rodan. Took on Boyd and won.
He's in a bit of trouble, Acker. He's in the hands of the trainers, and I think he's coming off.
Was it a hamstring in that contest?
Not sure what he did, but he's not moving well at all.
Salopek to Tredrea, who moves well into this. And his old mate, Brian Lake, gives him a little massage for his trouble.
No, he's in difficulty, Jason Akermanis.
Smithy will be all over that down on the boundary line.
Could be a hamstring, but we'll check on that shortly.
I'll tell you what K.Cornes is doing. He's getting the better of Matthew Boyd, and that's no mean feat. He's been probably the Bulldogs' best all year, Boyd, but K.Cornes has had 11 possessions to Boyd's 4 hand passes.
Coming off a 34 possession game last week, K.Cornes, so normally high in the possessions.
Dwayno, it's definitely not the hamstring. The doctors just point to his stomach, so he's just feeling a little bit sick in the stomach, boys. So definitely not that hamstring.
He might have that flu after all that he joked about. Harbrow might turn it over. He does. Motlop took them on. Got the handball out to his cousin Marlon. He couldn't trap it. Harbrow got it up. Well played, Helen Ward.
Terrific step by Ward.
And well played by Logan. Keeps it alive to Port. Cassisi. And it's coming back. His ball. It's Logan's ball.
Yeah, he did well, Logan. He just went in lower.
Lade. Thurstans. Surgeon. 26 plays 7. As you can see, only a couple of seconds left for Port. They need a mark from this kick. And Lake takes the saving mark for the Dogs, and they'll go in at quarter time with a handy 19-point lead. TIO Stadium in Darwin, round 12 action. Good crowd in, perfect night for footy. And the Dogs lead 4-2-26. Port Adelaide 1-1-7.
On AFL Sunday at 12:30, 2 premiership contenders face off. The battling Hawks are flying high, while Bossie's Vikings are determined to put their beating by the Blues behind them.
He's a gun!
Then live at 4, the Crows have clicked into gear. The Kangaroos ravaged with injuries. But can Laidley's Soldiers withstand an Adelaide shootout?
Loads it up and bangs it through.
Hawthorn, Brisbane Lions, Adelaide, North Melbourne. Nothing beats live AFL on Fox Sports.
You do want to be very smart with your money these days.
Everyone's trying to save money where they can.
If you want value, there's only one word you need to know, and that's Bunnings.
Heavy duty bypass pruner, just $5.48. Gap seal, $2.20 each. Ryobi circular saw, $99. 3-step folding ladder, $35.90. Pack of 6 energy saving globes, only $18.
Everybody loves good value.
Bunnings Warehouse. Lowest prices are just the beginning.
Drive the GT at your specialist FPV dealer.
What about bolognese flavour? No. Butter chicken?
Smiths are looking for their next great flavour.
I've got it. Hamburger.
Come up with it and you'll get 1% of all sales. And your very own chip.
Hi, Tom.
But what about hot dog?
Win 1% of sales. Go to smiths.com.au.
Juggling too many debts? Simplify your finances with a GE Money debt consolidation loan. It's one loan with one easy monthly repayment. What's more, our people will even assist to pay out your existing debts. All you have to do is call GE Money. Call now on 13 28 26 to apply. GE Money. Simplifying money matters.
At Mother Energy Drinks, we don't do things by half measures. So when Matt complained, I didn't see the reason for so much energy, we said, we'll see. Because Matt's a bit of a commitment fud, we hired some actors, dressed them up as brides and let them loose. Run, Matt, run!
I see the reason!
Do you, Matt? Do you really?
A mother of an energy kit!
You never really know what the water will give you, but it's bound to be better. Yeah, better. Bogues Draft from the pure waters of Tasmania.
Mark, what does it mean to qualify for a World Cup?
I don't know. It's unbelievable.
Back-to-back World Cups, dominating qualification. Australia expects the Socceroos face Japan in our final World Cup qualifier. Who'll go through as the top team in Asia and send a message to the world? Countdown to the biggest show on earth. Are we ready? Australia face Japan live from the G, 7 p.m. Wednesday, Fox Sports 1 and HD.
Well, it must be the weather. It dipped below 10 degrees. There was rain, hail, icy wind, snow in some parts of Melbourne. And the Dogs have left that for 30 degrees up here in Darwin. And they've enjoyed it. 4-2-26 at quarter time. Port Adelaide 1-1-7. And there's some numbers, guys. What do you make of them?
Well, the numbers are all favouring the Western Bulldogs. And contested possession's a big one. Inside 50s, clearances. It was interesting, the two players that have had the most touches on the ground, Toby Thurstans has had 12 for the Power. He's at fullback. Ryan Hargrave's had 14 for the Bulldogs. He's deep in defence at the other end.
Let's go downstairs to Mr. Cool, Rowan Smith.
Thanks very much, Dwayne. Well, it is not cool down here. It's a little bit warm, especially. Now, the Bulldogs, during that quarter, both teams were making a lot of changes, obviously, with the heat. The Bulldogs had 29 for that quarter, and Port Adelaide had 21. But every single time when a Bulldogs player or a Port Adelaide player came off, they were using the cool room. So where you see the players going in there, it's nice and cool, air-conditioned, so they can just cool the body temperature down, just so they can bring the temperature down, then come back out in the ground and then get straight back out on the ground, boys. So both teams there at that quarter-time huddle using that cool room with the whole group in there. And it just goes to show how much heat comes off the players, because you can't even see in there because the windows are all fogged up, boys. So it's nice and cool in there and nice and warm outside.
It's interesting, isn't it? I understand the players going there, but for our boundary man down there to be watching the whole quarter from the cool room's a bit rich.
Yeah, I reckon he'll find himself comfortable. We've got some good news coming out of Adelaide, Dwayne. We spoke off the top about the swine flu test for Richard Douglas and one of the other players that was named emergency, his roommate Tony Armstrong. The tests for Richard Douglas have come back negative to swine flu, so that is great news. He's had flu-like symptoms all week, so it might just be the standard flu, but it is not swine flu for Richard Douglas, so that is great news for the Crows.
So he'll be playing tomorrow for Adelaide?
Well, we haven't got that news yet. Maybe the flu symptoms will keep him out regardless.
Yeah, there's a bit of a whisper that he might
we'll wait and see.
Take the day off regardless. So players moving to position. Looking forward to heading to that game tomorrow.
And Dwayne, the Bulldogs are having a little bit of interchange problems at the moment. They're a little bit confused whether they had 5 or 4 on the ground. Scotty Welsh has just run from the ground, so they're not too sure whether they've got 17 men or 18 men on the ground at the moment.
Tell them to check the cool room.
From the ball up. Yes, some may like it too much. Griffen tries to steal up Rodan, who was his opponent for the majority of that opening term.
You mentioned Ryan Hargrave a couple of times during the call. By my calculations, he had 14 touches in the first quarter.
Yep.
His direct opponents, Westhoff, had 1, and Lade, while he was playing on him, had 1. So I reckon it was 14 disposals to Hargrave, 2 to his opponent.
Eagleton's kick not marked by Pettigrew. And he might get out of trouble here through Chaplin's good work. He gave to Surgeon. Will Minson, good tackle. Back to Pettigrew, another fumble. He's over it. He's in trouble. He squeezes it out. Minson gave the handball up. Cooney didn't want to go for goal, so shoots it all the way back to Picken, who doesn't get a chance to go for goal very often and nails it every time he does.
This is a horrible start for Port Adelaide. It really is. They were queuing up there. Picken got the end of it. Cooney had time to scream for a free kick. The ball was behind him. He still had time, no opponent, to be able to actually turn around and kick the ball out to Picken, who was also on his own. Daniel Pearce, I'm not sure where he was in that situation, but at the moment, it's a very clear win to Picken over Pearce, and they need a lot more from Pearce, that's for sure.
Show you an extraordinary piece of footage here. Cooney's got his back to the footy, looking at the umpire for a decision for holding the ball. He turns around and he gets a hand pass straight out to him off the ball. This is against Daniel Pearce. He has been sucked in by Liam Picken, and he is getting a spanking at the moment. 2 possessions in the first quarter. He's lost his focus. This is the criticism that he's been carrying for a while, and he's only going to add to it tonight.
He might get a spanking at half-time from his coach, the way he's going.
But by dealing with a run-with player like he is, he's showing 15 other clubs out there, or 14 other clubs,
Correct.
that if you get in his face, you can take him off the game.
High contact, he pushed him high. The 2 things you do, you ask your teammates for assistance and you work harder. You run harder, you run yourself into the ground. He stopped running and he's starting to fight with his opponent.
Here's Pearce here. Hargrave beat him to it. Goes across. Higgins, short pass is perfect, and Hill marks 40 metres out. And you mentioned Liam Picken. He's only played, well, this is his 11th game, but he is a mature player. He's started this season as a mature age rookie, turns 23 this year. So he has come in with a mature mind, and he's able to play with Daniel Pearce at the moment.
Watch the mark now.
And get the better of him. And the Dogs are getting the better of Port Adelaide with each passing minute. Josh Hill the goal.
And you can bet that there are plenty of players having a word in the ear of Daniel Pearce. Interesting to see how Mark Williams handles it. There's the quick kick from Cooney. And look, Rowan Smith's boy, Sean Higgins, he has got great skills on both sides of the body. Look at this on the opposite boot, around the corner. Couldn't have put it more lace out for Josh Hill.
Watch the line.
Let's head downstairs. Rowan Smith.
Well, Jason Akermanis has emerged from that cool room, boys, so just feeling still a little bit sick in the stomach, so it's definitely not that hamstring, but he's back out and he should be out in a minute.
It's okay.
Brogan takes it from the ball up. Kicks Port Adelaide to half forward. Murphy just joined us. Yes, he's playing at half back. Gathered that possession, gave to Gilbee. He had an enormous amount of time to spend it, and Griffen can't gather here before it travels out of play.
Let's go back to Liam Picken for just a moment. You mentioned he's a mature age player. Bulldogs have done very well with 3 players I can think of that have gone through the VFL system. One's Picken, Dale Morris has been an All-Australian, and Ben Hudson is one of the best ruckmen in the AFL. So it's probably a school of thought to say they don't always have to be kids. Maybe it's time to give some of those players a bit of a chance.
Which is one reason why some are calling for a mid-season draft, so some of those mature age players can be added to a list mid-season as Harbrow takes a mark. Back to Hargrave. That's possession number 16. And it's a good one. Cooney. For Callum Ward wide if he wants him. Motlop stopped his chase there. Callum Ward corralled, so room to move on the boundary line, and it's a little too wide. Pettigrew got a hand on it, so it's not out on the full, it's a ball in.
And I did forget one other Matthew Boyd come through Frankston VFL reserves. So add another one to that list of Bulldogs players that have done it the hard way.
Thurstans, a little palm down toward P.Burgoyne. Cassisi. And we might get a ball up to sort this out. This is virtually a full-strength Bulldog lineup. Port Adelaide without K.Cornes and Alapete Carlisle, Sean Burgoyne, Travis Boak certainly in their best 22, but their form has been scratchy, as we said in the intro, and the Dogs have been superb. And they're looking to put Port Adelaide away before half-time. Salopek heads wide. Ebert, 2 to beat. Murphy, disciplined punch down to Morris. One of those mature age players you talked about, Liam. Back to Murphy, and now Hargrave. Is there 2 out there? Possession 17, another good one to Minson. That's not so good, although the chaos ball can sometimes work. Hill turns it over, Thurstans. And now Logan with some room to move.
He's only got Tredrea. He's one out.
And needs to hit him. And a little slip from Lake. Tredrea's got Ebert in a one-on-one. Ebert and Morris. Ebert from behind. Good spoil. Hits the deck. Over it now and in trouble. Forced to get it out. Boyd.
They're outnumbered 5-2. I mean, Warren Tredrea tried to unload a torpedo. They've just got to hold the ball up and wait for some numbers to push forward.
So the turnover, Lake gave it back. Cornes, Surgeon, Logan. Back to K.Cornes. He needs to hit a chest. Tredrea, Cooney bumped off it in the marking contest. Callum Ward had it, but gave it to Higgins, and he shrugs that attempted tackle with ease from Carr, and they're hard tackles to shrug normally from Josh Carr. From the contest, K.Cornes, Port Adelaide with numbers back. Pettigrew, Chaplin, Salopek, they can reload. Turnover.
It's just flat-footed stuff, isn't it, really?
Harbrow to Johnson. They're away again, the Dogs. Hahn's got Hill if he wants him. Thumps it long instead. No one home.
Terrible.
Surgeon was waiting there in the hole all by himself. K.Cornes. Gee, Port Adelaide are playing ugly at the moment. Surgeon, Cassisi. Little pop pass over the top to Danny Meyer. Out of the frying pan into the fire for him. He left Richmond to come and play for Port Adelaide, who are playing like this.
Well, their forward line's just standing still. Motlop was the only one that moved. He's ended up getting on the end of it, but 20 metres from where the person that had the ball, the player had the ball. The rest of the boys just aren't moving. They're all standing still. Look at Motlop being frustrated with this.
Lay.
Come back, Higgins. Back 2 metres, thank you.
Westhoff.
Right there, Adam.
There's just no movement.
No, and you've got big Will Minson playing deep in defence. They load the bomb at long because the Bulldogs' ruckman's there.
Justin Westhoff with Matthew off now. He's inside 50. Ebert bumped off the ball a little too easily. Boyd, who got it from Murphy, used to Callum Ward. He's got a couple of options wide. Handball is a bounce pass and it finds Gilbee, who gives back to Boyd. Now Port Adelaide are flooding back, so they need to be precise. Eagleton.
Play on.
Giansiracusa called into it by Cross. So they're back into the corridor. The release handball for Cross. He decides to go backwards. Gilbee sends it long. Hill the target. Got it!
They're just controlling the football at the moment, the Western Bulldogs.
Oh, he's dished up to Johnson, but he won't be allowed. The umpire was putting him around on the mark.
Well, they just...
He hadn't got off the ground. What was there to move him for, Dwayne? He couldn't have fallen too far away from the mark if he's holding the ball on the ground.
So Port Adelaide breathed a sigh of relief because Brad Johnson was about to stroll in.
He wasn't behind the mark. He'd gone well over.
There's your explanation. He'd gone over his mark for his second for the quarter, virtually from the same spot. Bends it back. No.
I want to know how he went over the mark.
He fell over.
Let me ask
fell
you,
forward.
Jason.
The mark's behind him, Dwayne.
Let me ask you, Jason. You're a full forward of great note. Would you like to be leading to that? Or the one that we just saw with Josh Hill?
Yeah, correct. It's chalk and cheese the way the two teams are moving the football at the moment.
Rodan, but another turnover, although Gilbee can't make something of it. We'll get a ball in.
Well, they're under pressure. They're trying to force the issue. They're trying to play run-on football, Port Adelaide, but high looping hand passes, short chip kicks, they're putting their teammates under pressure, inevitably turning it over. The Bulldogs have been very good at creating those turnovers, but then once the Bulldogs have possession, Port not working as hard in defence, and the Bulldogs finding loose players.
Port Adelaide free. Brendan Lade to Tredrea. Really had to put the skates on and got there. Thumps it long. There's another one for Ebert. A high ball. Morris gets back onto him. Good grab.
That one at least. It might have been a high kick, but it was over the back of the contest to the advantage of Brett Ebert. And you could see it was Morris trying to get back. He was looking at the ball coming over his shoulder. He didn't know where the body of Ebert was. Very difficult position for a defender to be running back with the flight of the ball. He can't feel his opponent. He can't see him. He's reaching for him. And in the end, Ebert's in the right spot.
2 metres.
Very important kick for Port Adelaide.
He's got it.
He's got it. But gee, he made the goal umpire dance.
He sure did make him dance. Well, the good thing, and Jason summed it up well, was the Tredrea kick. One, it was a drop punt, which sort of helps. and two was that he actually noticed that he got behind him, so he actually kicked to where Ebert was pointing, which was the space was behind Brian Lake. Was it Brian Lake there? No, it was Morris. And it was a really well-weighted kick by Warren Tredrea and a crucial goal for Port Adelaide.
Margin back to 26. Still a night here at TIO Stadium in Darwin. 3rd versus 8th on the AFL ladder. Both these teams in the 8. Port Adelaide in danger of dropping out. Cassisi. Long ball, Tredrea with a couple to beat. Morris just got a knuckle on that. Caught by Gray, gives it up. Lake, outside of the foot. Oh, clever, but dangerous.
The second one we've seen tonight. We saw a terrific one from Ryan, who was it? Ryan Griffen earlier on. And then that one from Brian Lake. But you cringe a little bit when you see it from a fullback under pressure, doing it out of a defensive goal square.
Murphy to Ward, who really had to dive hard for that one and got it just inches from the turf. Now Picken inside 50. Fist comes back of the pack. They've got the numbers. Welsh rolls it towards goal. It's the post. Couldn't make something of it. Scotty Welsh.
This is that one out of defence under pressure. That's a gutsy kick. Didn't want to use the left foot. Felt more comfortable with a little check side.
Well, Rodney does have a word to him occasionally when he turns it over with the left. Brian Lake, he has admitted that a few times.
I wonder what sort of word he'd have if he turned it over with a banana.
Yeah, good point. Lade.
Actually, I think it was the right kick. Yeah. Because his left foot, he wanted to kick around the corner. If it's a bit iffy anyway, it might have been a percentage kick.
He's admitted he's a little bit of a whipping boy for Rodney, but he likes being whipped. Because it makes him
I don't want to go there, Dwayne. Let's leave that alone.
A good spray makes him play better. Meyer sends it. Murphy gets there and takes them up.
That's just wrong.
Uh-oh.
That's risky.
Over the head of Gilbee.
And look at the numbers.
By Picken.
And no
Gilbee. Bounce past to Ward. 3 players tackled him, which meant a couple were free. Back to Picken. Back to Murphy. Back to Picken. Out of trouble. Giansiracusa. Open forward line for the Dogs. Pop-up pass. Welsh. He bounced off Rodan and took off. Morris is running back inside 50. So he's decided to go forward on Motlop. Gets the kick around the body, but it won't bounce through for a score. That's a win for the Dogs. Stays in their area.
We've mentioned it a couple of times tonight, but Liam Picken is giving Daniel Pearce a footballing lesson. Daniel Pearce, deep into the second term, has had just the 3 possessions. Picken is now up to 6 and has a goal to his name.
Rodan had it, lost it, didn't spend it properly, and Griffen, luckily for Rodan, can't get it through for a goal, and we'll get a ball up in the forward pocket for the Dogs. David Rodan, of course, here last year, didn't know which way Port were going and kicked the goal for the Dogs, which was counted as a behind, of course. I'm not sure what it would be this year, whether it would be a rush behind or not, but he snapped it off the pack and went straight through the middle. Takes them on in the back pocket here, and K.Cornes kicked it off the deck, and that's out on the full. Free kick to Akermanis, who's back on. Good news for the Dogs there with Aker back. Hargrave again. Higgins, who Rowan Smith said is in the best 5 players in the competition. And he might have to reassess, although he finds Callum Ward off hands. All part of the plan.
This is almost becoming pedestrian at the moment. Very, very easy for the Bulldogs. Even when they make mistakes, they've got the numbers there. Just doesn't seem to be a lot of urgency from Port Adelaide about the pressure they're putting on the Western Bulldogs. And the Bulldogs are working harder. They're getting numbers to the fall of the footy. They're working hard both ways, defensively and in attack. And it's paying handsome dividends on the scoreboard.
Seventh goal of the season for Callum Ward. Very accurate kick at goal. 7-1 this year as Cooney has a rest.
He's an impressive young player, Callum Ward. 11 possessions now, operating at 80% efficiency. A lot to like about the way he plays the game.
Yes, first year out of school, of course, this year, having played last year whilst doing his VCE. So he can concentrate on being a full-time footballer. And on cue, got it out, but unfortunately for him, D.Motlop. The car to Logan. Now Lade. Tredrea's on the move, and he's got it. Flat out, 40 metres directly in front.
The one thing I will say is Warren Tredrea then led one side and then worked really hard back into the space on the other side of the ground and deserved to get on the end of that because I think his work rate's been pretty good. He's working up the ground. And when Logan went back inside, of course, everyone pushed to the side that he was working, which was his right side, but he wanted his left foot. And really good running by Tredrea. Just needs to finish off here.
We kicked a very straight 45-metre ball in the opening term that just got stopped on the line. That one sails straight over the goal umpire for his first.
A couple of goals in a row, well, 2 out of the last 3 goals anyway to Port Adelaide. We have a look at this build-up. It was a good little bit of quick work with the hands there in close. And Logan, he wanted his left foot. Everyone went to this side of the ground, except Tredrea went back the hardest, and that's why he got on the end of it. He took Lake to the other side as he expected, and then that's a good finish. Pretty disappointing there was no one in the goals, I might add. Oh no, there was a Bulldogs player, just looked small.
I need him to turn it on as well, Warren Tredrea. He's been one of the reasons why Port Adelaide at the moment has a 6-5 record and he's 8th on the AFL ladder, 32 goals for the season so far. And the clearance of Port Adelaide. Cornes back to Meyer, wide to Motlop. If it sits, he's away, and he's tracked down by Harbrow. Got the handball up.
Off the ground,
might keep it alive here. He doesn't. He needed to poke that with his toe over to Ebert. 46 plays, 19, back to 27 points. Brogan and Hudson.
Clearances have been pretty good, Port Adelaide, tonight.
Now the free kick back on play, although Higgins was the man that got the free in the end.
It's a brave kick, this one.
It is, because Tredrea and Giansiracusa are coming from opposite ends. And there's the meeting of them.
Great tackle. He took him on. He just tried to steamroll.
I reckon he waited for him to collect it, Giansiracusa.
Good decision.
And,
that was
a great decision. But Tredrea looked up, he saw Giansiracusa and thought, I can run straight through him.
It's amazing, isn't it? That was a reward for the man who didn't want the ball. He wanted the man with the ball. Eagleton from outside 50, thumps it long.
Too strong.
Hahn.
Just too strong. The kick was weighted to the right side. And let's have a look at this Tredrea one. You're right. Now, he took him on thinking that he was going to...
That was a little high, wasn't it?
Should have been a high tackle. The right arm came around the neck of Tredrea.
You've always got to protect the guy going the ball, surely. Give him the benefit of the doubt first.
And the umpire was on the other side, unfortunately.
Well,
all the umpire saw was Tredrea take Giansiracusa on.
We had the option of not taking him on.
True, but the tackle was high.
Was a little bit high. He should have probably used the fend off. I'm not sure why he didn't. Pushed him in the chest because he had a head of steam up. But he's been working pretty hard here, Tredrea.
I think he actually wanted some serious body contact. He wanted to try and take Giansiracusa out.
I reckon he was a bit further away than he thought. He had to run a bit further with the ball tucked under his arm.
P.Burgoyne. A little too hot that pass for Ebert, but Tredrea gathers on the half volley. Shoots it back. K.Cornes, not a long kick. Pokes it to Westhoff. Ebert, well, he had it and lost it. Now bumps Gilbee a little high. Umpire didn't see a free in that, and we'll ball it up.
We'll give a look at the replay of that one with Gilbee.
Here's Ebert. Is it front on? No, he turned.
No,
he actually turned a little bit side on, Gilbee, thank goodness, because we don't like seeing Contact with the head, so that's a fair bump.
Brogan doing the ruck work with Hudson. Motlop on hands and knees, cross-stole it from him, gave to Higgins. Thumps it to the outer side. Thurstans and Minson. Good fist from Thurstans. Ball out of play. 28 points the margin.
A nice little period here for the Power.
The Dogs have led from the outset. They kicked the opening goal of the game. Meyer and big bang with Eagleton, and they're both still down, although they're both now up, which is good news. And Meyer dives back in. He does look hurt.
Terrific attack on the footy by Danny Meyer. Let's have a look at this. Didn't shirk the contest at all. Probably near too high, that one.
They could have got a free kick there, I'm not sure. Well, the umpire didn't play that.
It's a great tap.
Yeah, and Rodan's away. With a little goose set and a shimmy. He might go all the way here. Kicked a couple of these last week from 40. Kicks toward goal. That's a ripper.
That could be goal of the year. You need to have a look at this sidestep again to realise how good it is, because the Bulldogs defender did not get within a bull's roar of him. He takes it at full speed. You watch him take off, and whoosh, off he goes. But have a look at this step here. Oh, Lindsay Gilbee, he bought the farm. That is a great finish. Started in the middle of the ground, he ran inside 50 and finished. Terrific individual effort from David Rodan.
Kicked 3 goals, won last week. It was brilliant. Almost the reason why Port Adelaide defeated Fremantle last week. And all 3 of those last week were spectacularly good. But that was an absolute gem.
That was brilliant. It was his first kick tonight. He's had 7 handballs. He's played okay. First one he used by 4. I reckon a few more of those would be nice. Port Adelaide.
So free kick to Brogan. And now Surgeon sends it long. Ebert! Fronts in the marking contest. Tredrea with the snap. Not a good one. Hahn and Westhoff couldn't mark it. But a good contest that time from Matthew Westhoff, and we'll get a ball in.
It's been a good 5 minutes for Port Adelaide. All of a sudden they've put a little bit of pressure on the Bullies. A good effort from Matthew Westhoff. Just couldn't hang on to the ball as he flew over Mitch Hahn, but they've just turned up the wick a bit. They've found something. They need to continue to put a couple of goals on the board, get reward for the effort, and get themselves right back in the contest.
Good spot for a ball up for Port Adelaide.
Everyone on the defensive side of centre.
Hudson throws the handball out, Cooney. And did he throw that out? Thurstans inboard. Good smother by Cross. P.Burgoyne. Rodan nearly stole that again. Higgins had it but lost it. Thurstans. K.Cornes. P.Burgoyne. A little fumble from Chaplin. Back towards P.Burgoyne, and the fumble has allowed the Dogs to... Well, they didn't want to take it out. Minson gave that up. And Higgins, Hudson, back to Higgins.
Oh,
that is all too easy.
His goal side here, there's not one person in front of Hill.
Hill, a little fumble.
There's now.
So now he's got a one-on-one option. Welsh, high ball, Pettigrew. Did he push him out without eyes on the ball?
Wow.
Takes control of it, gives to Danny Meyer. Sends it wide, too wide for Marlon Motlop. Can't take the mark. Ball bounces back into Callum Ward. Hands it up. Cross. Inboard. Gilbee. Missed Morris. Had to go back and get it off the bounce. Boyd. Hahn. And some space on the outer side. Eagleton. Good fist by Logan. Eagleton falls. Logan keeps his feet. Boundary line his friend if he wants it. Kicks it along the line. Still got a couple coming at him. And kicks it in. All the way to Tredrea. Can they get a goal out of this? Hahn drags Tredrea out. Superb, Mitch Hahn.
Yeah, that was terrific play by Logan. The last 10 minutes, Port Adelaide have been super. Now, we needed a shepherd. Westhoff allowed Callum Ward to run straight past and tackle Motlop, basically. Westhoff should have been aware. He was the eyes of Motlop then, and he allowed him, instead of worrying about a handball receive, worry about putting a shepherd on.
Griffen marks the K.Cornes kick off the deck.
Unfortunately, it's a dying art, Pickers. Players just peel off looking for possession now rather than giving the bloke with the ball a little bit more time and let him use the footy.
Possession 20 for Hargrave. Back to Brian Lake.
Well, it wouldn't have been missed by Mark Williams because it's right in front of the coach's box. But this has been a really good period. We've said 3 or 4 times now, Port Adelaide. Look at the pressure all of a sudden Western Bulldogs are under. They're starting to miss targets.
Yeah, and they're starting to waste some time just to settle this game down a little. Back to Brian Lake, who grew up a Port Adelaide supporter, grew up just down the road from Cheltenham.
Because what's noticeable from down here is the Bulldogs' run from their back line. It was sensational in the first quarter, and Port Adelaide now just manning up and just pressing them up like St Kilda do, basically, and just not allowing the Bulldogs to run the ball out of their 50.
There's the big long thump to the wing. Thurstans, after caught a couple of fingertips, Minson stole it, gave to Griffen. He takes on Rodan. Good chase, Rodan. Griffen, the pop pass. Giansiracusa in the pocket.
That was touched off the boot, surely. That was touched. He's paid a mark.
The players are arguing, but it's very rare you change an umpire's decision.
That was clearly touched. The chip over the top from Griffen, touched by a Port Adelaide player in between. The ball still floated over the top. Was marked by Giansiracusa, and he paid the mark. That's extraordinary.
Stretch the margin back to 28 points. Not bad off the boot, although it drifts across the face.
Oh, it's a risky spot to punch it.
It is still alive. Pettigrew. Cassisi. They get out of it, Port Adelaide. Maybe the footy gods are here. Didn't think that deserved a goal.
No. Poetic justice.
Cassisi, umpire, is clearing his throat before he blasted a few instructions and gave the free kick.
Let's
to
have a look
Brogan.
at this kick here from Griffen. Look at the player in front. Clearly hits the hand, stops spinning, pops up higher. The Bulldogs forward Giansiracusa has to change direction to get to it, and he's paid the mark.
Needed the snicko.
It is a quick game, difficult to keep up with everything, but
so we need a
lucky one there.
Fourth umpire.
No, let's not go there.
What
please.
we need is the umpire with that angle where you see the glove move. Thumb.
Tredrea edged out of that by Lake. And now Ebert over it, was in a bit of trouble. Stolen by a Harbrow. Centering kick, Dogs have the numbers. Cross. Inside 2 minutes to half-time. Hot conditions, players would be keen for a break. Hill, Cooney, Johnson, and to the open side. It is very, very open. Gilbee.
Players here.
Hahn. He could go all the way. Centering kick instead. Minson.
I like the way that the Bulldogs have at least looked for the big fella when they've had him forward. They don't always operate with the big man up forward because more often than not he's rotating in the ruck, but he's had a couple of spells forward. Both times the player carrying the footy has identified it and said, let's give the big bloke a chance. Let's play as though we've got a power forward up there that can take the big mark, and on both occasions they've looked for him. He's got the job done. Now he'll need to kick it better than last time.
Dean, you've got to come out of there as well.
7 goals, 2 this year.
He was asking the trainer for a towel then, just to wipe a little bit of sweat off the ball.
In the shadows of half-time. Perfect kick off the boot from Will Minson. He has 2.
What I liked about the Dogs' run here is they got it out the other side. They had loose players forward of the ball. And you see this. There's some players, and you never let Gilbee down the line there. Look at this. There was 2 options. Hahn immediately went to the fat side of the ground, which is open. Kicked it. Could have been a little bit further out in front, but a good, strong mark by Big Will. And if you give it a little bit of air and you've got a player that big, I mean, it's pretty difficult for Toby Thurstans to get a fist in. Good finish as well.
It's a good return. A couple of spells forward. Reaping 2 goals. Now he heads back into the ruck to do battle with D.Motlop. Keep talking about the Picken Daniel Pearce matchup. Pearce had 2 touches in the first quarter. He's had 1 in the second.
Time enough for another score here.
Holding Jason Akermanis.
Acker's ball, so it'll be the Dogs with the last chance. Clock continues to run. Aker calls for it. Short.
Right there, Robbie. Wait.
Boyd chips it wide. More seconds eaten up. Callum Ward Still wide. More seconds continue to roll. Higgins needs to hit a pass quickly.
That's it, mate. Hold it there. A bit too late, I think.
Okay, put it up for the big mark. To the pocket. Fist comes. Hahn. Siren will beat him. Half-time at TIO Stadium in Darwin. 3rd versus 8th on the AFL ladder. And the 3rd-placed Western Bulldogs look strong. 28-point lead. 8-5, 53. 4-1, 25.
Stoner now heads the championship race. And Rossi is looking for answers.
The race was crazy.
MotoGP Live Catalonia. Tomorrow on Fox Sports.
Good night, love.
No. This party was just... Ugh. There was like a million beautiful girls and only like 2 guys. There was this huge screen showing the football and a whole pig on a spit. And then all the girls started wrestling each other in their bikinis.
Can anyone get in?
The party. Jim Beam. The bourbon.
It's here. The new Camry Touring Special Edition, with every bit now even more brilliant. 17-inch alloy wheels, rear lip spoiler, Sportivo grille on the outside, 3-spoke leather steering wheel, dual zone air conditioning, and 6-disc CD sound system on the inside. And of course, auto-on sports headlamps. The new Camry Touring Special Edition. Catch it while you can. Oh, what a feeling. Toyota.
As mornings get colder, it's easy to let go of our summer health routine. Well, now you can enjoy a delicious start to your winter day and help maintain a healthy weight with new Uncle Toby's Fitness Oats. Warm and delicious, it has all the natural goodness of whole grain oats, plus added fibre and protein to help leave you feeling satisfied. And there's no added sugar. New Uncle Toby's Fitness Oats helps you maintain your weight all year round.
What's new where you see it first? Your life in pictures. Just look what Harvey Norman can do with your favourite snaps. Now you can order online from the convenience of your own home. Just go to www.harveynormanphotos.com.au, download your digital images, select your items, place your order, and before you know it, your order will be available for delivery or pickup from your nominated Harvey Norman store. Choose from a variety of photo gifts, canvas art, photo books, prints and enlargements. Order online now at www.harveynormanphotos.com.au.
In our game.
You need to never let go. Be open to every possibility.
Know when to use it. Or keep it shut.
It needs to come from here.
From here.
And most of all, here. It's a game of precision.
Grace. Authority.
Where everyone plays a part.
The only place to see every Wallaby International live and uninterrupted.
One field for rugby.
Fox Sports.
Fox Sports.
Fox Sports.
Australia's Tour of England live on Fox Sports.
Putt and Freddie. Mitch against KP.
Hunter versus Strauss.
The most anticipated series in 2009.
Every ball live on Fox Sports.
Half-time at TIO Stadium in Darwin. AFL in the top end, the first half of the split round 12. And it's the Bulldogs doing it in good fashion. 28 points to march, an 8-5, 53 over Port Adelaide, 4-1, 25. Big Will Minson with 2, the multiple goal scorer for the Western Bulldogs, and all singles for Port Adelaide. Figures some damning statistics from Port Adelaide perspective.
Certainly are. Western Bulldogs is one team you don't allow to have 60 more possessions in the first half. The contested possessions, really Bulldogs are dominating there, but Port Adelaide were much better in the second part of that second quarter. In saying that, they'll need to get much better in the second half to get back in this game. 28 points is a nice little margin to take into half-time by the Western Bulldogs.
It is. They were very dominant early, the Western Bulldogs. They really controlled the game. Even though Port had a patch, I guess, the last 10 minutes of the second quarter, it was all Bulldogs early. They kicked goals when they needed to. They controlled the movement of the football, and they really had Port Adelaide at 6 and 7, didn't they?
Well, I don't think Port Adelaide brought the desired effect when you come to contested area of the game. I thought they were very ordinary early. They turned the ball over a lot. I didn't think their effort was great either. But the Bulldogs are a team that make you pay in that situation. They did. Every time they went forward, they looked dangerous. They had a running forward line. They had a running midfield. They had Ryan Hargrave on the ball on a string, had 14 touches off half-back in the first quarter. So they were dominating every area.
They just kept identifying good contests for their forwards. One-out opportunities, kicking to the advantage of that man, and Big Will on the end of a couple.
He's been pretty good, Big Will. He's kicked 2 goals. He's taken some nice strong marks. Their work by their midfield has been very good as well. Griffen and Rodan have had a really interesting battle. Neither player's been dominant, but they've both done a couple of really nice things for their team. Port Adelaide, as I say, really it was probably as much their bad play as it was Bulldogs' good play in the first quarter.
Well, we saw there a bit of fumbling under pressure. Cooney had his back to the footy and still ends up with it, and manages to get it out to set up a goal for Liam Picken, who's done an outstanding job on Daniel Pearce in the first half.
Well, just 3 possessions to Daniel Pearce, just not good enough for a player of his quality. So Picken again with another scalp, looks like he's on his way. He needs to work a lot harder in the second half, Daniel Pearce.
He does. You mentioned some of the Port turnovers. They're kicking to general play, to field position. At particular times going inside 50, they just put their teammates under pressure. They chose wrong options, handballs hitting the ground. They really did create a rod for their own back.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, the one team that makes you pay is the Western Bulldogs. They're one of the top 3 sides of the competition for a reason, because they're a very skillful team, and on the turnover, they just killed Port Adelaide in the first half. In particular, the first quarter and a bit. As I said, I think Port Adelaide were much better in the second part of that quarter. Something to take into the game, but this was like a training run, training run, and this sort of stuff from Tredrea. A torpedo on the run from 75. Not much hope when it's going in like that.
No, it certainly isn't. They really control just about every aspect of the game, the Western Bulldogs. They're even better defensively, I think, the pressure that they put on and the tackling. You mentioned the battle between Ryan Griffen and David Rodan. I don't know who's got the points, but I know who's got the points as far as the goal that they've kicked each, because David Rodan kicked one of the best of the year.
That was just brilliant. He did a couple of these last week. The side step's outstanding. He got 3 bounces from a ball that was basically balled up on the, or thrown up, I should say, on the centre wing. Runs all the way. Great bit of work by Big Brogan there, and Rodan knew exactly where to go. He hit the contest with speed. Fantastic finish, and he's trying really hard. I think Port Adelaide themselves are trying really hard in the second quarter. But the big concern I've got with this game, Jason, is that the Bulldogs get their A game going after half-time. It could be a blowout.
I did enjoy watching that. He does have one of the best side steps in the game, David Rodan. 28 points, the margin in favour of the Bullies at half-time. More from TIO Stadium in a moment.
On AFL Sunday at 12:30, 2 premiership contenders face off. The battling Hawks are flying high, while Bossie's Vikings are determined to put their beating by the Blues behind them.
He's a gun!
Then live at 4, the Crows have clicked into gear. The Kangaroos ravaged with injuries. But can Lathey's Soldiers withstand an Adelaide shootout?
Loads it up and bangs it through.
Hawthorn, Brisbane Lions, Adelaide, North Melbourne. Nothing beats live AFL on Fox Sports.
Why do birds suddenly appear every time you are near? Just like me, they long to be close to you. La, 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 close to you.
With over 1,400 locally owned bottle marts, chances are there's one
close to you.
These pure waters are special. Something goes in there, it comes out different. Good different. Oh, sure, things don't always turn out the way you expect. But who's complaining? Because this water just makes things better.
Bogue's Draft, from the pure waters of Tasmania.
Hello! Before giving you the keys to your new car, I need to demonstrate why the XC60 is the safest Volvo ever. If it senses a collision, the XC60 can stop itself. It's called City Safety. The new XC60, the safest Volvo ever built.
At insuremyride.com.au, we know what it's like on the bike. So our bike insurance is only for bike riders. Whatever you ride, road, off-road and even scooter. Don't get ripped off. Insure your ride online and save 25%.
That's my best mate, Jono. Oi, Jono! Oi, Jono!
Oh, Jono's an absolute character. I've known him since primary school. Really? Yeah, he's captain of the footy team, best man at my wedding. Here we go, it's ringing. Come on, Big Johnny. Actually, I don't think that's Jono.
The 4 and 20 Hungry Man, now available in sausage rolls.
Join us this week at the Rugby Club. We'll look at all this weekend's action with Guernsey, Mardo and Cape. There's the chalkboard, another golden moment from the Wallabies and much more.
Is that for you? Are the crowd cheering for you?
The Rugby Club, live Thursday, 8:30pm, Fox Sports 1.
Is that the footy?
Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Get one!
Oh, not again! What? Come on. Yeah!
Whoa!
Oh.
Yes! Sometimes you'll love it, sometimes you'll hate it. Fox Sports gives you sports news and results on your mobile for free. SMS Sport to 19 Sports now to receive a link. Fox Sports, know the score. Yes! Oh.
AFL football alive and well in the country's top end. Half-time at TIO Stadium in Darwin. If you've just joined us, it's the Western Bulldogs leading by 28 points. Our man at boundary level is Rowan Smith. He's got an eagle's eye in terms of following the flow of play. And Smithy, I know you've seen a couple of things that have really pleased you from a Western Bulldogs perspective.
Yeah, right from the Western Bulldogs perspective, Jace, there was two instances in the first quarter that happened in one passage of play that I'm certainly sure that Rodney Eve would have spoken about at quarter time. You can just see here that young Liam Picken just backs back into a pack, so for a young player to back and put his body on the line, and then Daniel Pearce kicks it inside 50, and another young player backing back into a pack as well in Callum Ward, and receives a free kick there. For both of those young players to put their bodies on the line, there's no doubt that Rodney Eve would have highlighted that, and that will certainly be in the tape this week when they do their mid-season review before the players actually go on holidays. That two young players like that, with their capabilities to back into packs like that, it's just sensational. It just sets an example for the whole team.
It does. Couldn't agree with you more, Smith. He does set a fantastic example. When you've got the young players showing the way like that, they're building in season 2009, the Bullies, aren't they? There's another match in action tonight. St Eddie had Sam, the first match in charge for Tigers caretaker coach Jade Rawlings and Pickers. At half-time, it is going very nicely. 8-8-56 the Tigers. They lead by 18 points over the West Coast Eagles, 6-38. Morton with 3, and Tambling getting plenty of the ball for the Tigers. That would be a very exciting time for Jade Rawlings.
It certainly would. Jade the Blade, yacked a few this week, but let's hope the Tigers, for Tigers fans, they can go on with that game, because an 18-point lead at half-time, 16 scoring shots to 8. Looks like they're controlling that, but out here, the Western Bulldogs, I think unless Port Adelaide can get a couple of quick ones, I really think they'll have their work cut out in the second half.
Yeah, the challenge lies ahead of Port Adelaide. We're going to find out exactly what they can muster in terms of an effort in the second half right after the break.
Lock in Fox Sports tonight for a Super 8 Smash Fest, live from England.
What a game we've had.
The ICC World 2020 continues. 10:20 tonight, live and exclusive. Fox Sports 3.
Actually, I've never had a boyfriend. No, I've just always preferred girls. I guess I just find them more fascinating. Yes, this is my girlfriend. I don't know why, but blokes just don't do it for me. I just love girls.
The tragedy. Jim Beam, the bourbon.
Look on the bright side. It's the brilliant Honda clearance. With big drive-away savings on Drive Car of the Year 08 Accord V6, including free Bluetooth. On fuel-efficient Jazz VTI, you get free Rego and CTP. Plus 5-year warranty with roadside assist. And there's drive-away savings on 08 CR-V Sport and Luxury models. For brilliant value, see your Honda dealer now.
No surf today, huh? Want to swim? Hungry? Same. Come on. What do you reckon? Roasted chicken? Beef stew? Good call. Look at those real ingredients.
With new Beneful prepared meals, you get tender, meaty chunks for protein, grains and veggies. So he stays full of the energy he needs. Another healthful, flavourful Beneful.
You do want to be very smart with your money these days.
Everyone's trying to save money where they can.
If you want value, there's only one word you need to know, and that's Bunnings.
Heavy duty bypass pruner, just $5.48. Gap seal, $2.20 each. Ryobi circular saw, $99. 3-step folding ladder, $35.90. Pack of 6 energy saving globes, only $18.
Everybody loves good value.
Bunnings Warehouse. Lowest prices are just the beginning.
Monday's massive night of AFL kicks off at 7:30 with all the latest highlights on AFL winners.
And nails a beauty.
Then live at 8:30, join James, Jared and Mike as they dissect all the hot AFL topics. 3 times Premiership captain turned coach Michael Voss joins them live on the couch with his take on the season so far. Monday's massive night of AFL. AFL winners 7:30, on the couch 8:30. Fox Sports 1.
Well, I'll tell you what, if Australia qualify, or should I say when Australia qualifies for the World Cup, I'll get Pim to sing the anthem and I'll sing it with him.
Wednesday night, Fox Sports, Simon Hill and Pim Verbeek stand and deliver.
Promise you I will sing it live here for the television.
We'll keep you to that.
I keep my promises. You know that.
See Simon Hill and Aussie Pim sing when Australia play Japan. Live from 7 p.m. Wednesday, Fox Sports 1.
Welcome back to TIO Stadium in Darwin. Half-time here, and it's the Western Bulldogs 8-5-53 to 4-1-25. The Dogs have led from the outset, and they've been pretty confident up here. They've defeated Port in their last 2 encounters, and last time they were up here was the last time they actually played Port Adelaide. It was a 7-goal margin at half-time that the Dogs had on that occasion. And they ended up winning that one, 20 goals, 15 to 11 goals, 15. So a big win there for the Dogs. And we'll head downstairs as they get together one last time to Rowan Smith.
Thanks very much, Dwayne. Well, we've already mentioned the heat up here in Darwin, and the Bulldogs are using their interchange, and Port Power, obviously, are using their interchange extensively tonight. In the first half, the Bulldogs have had 60 to Port Adelaide 42. Now, Melbourne last year set a record for interchanges at 119, so the Bulldogs are on track, and you'd think they'd probably make more changes in this second half than the first half, so they're on track to break that record, Dwayne.
Thanks for that, Rowan. Yeah, it's an amazing situation the Dogs are in. They kind of can't win anything until they get to September, can they?
No, they can't, but what they can do is build momentum, build confidence and build belief along the way. and they're certainly heading in that direction at the moment. The disappointing thing for Port Adelaide, whilst their skill level and decision-making's been average, I've been a little bit disappointed with the work rate. I don't think they've worked hard. I don't think they've brought their A-grade game in terms of their frame of mind, Pickers.
Totally agree, and you can see that by usually uncontested possessions tell you the work rate situation. Western Bulldogs 157, Port Adelaide 117. That just means your ability to work to space, help a teammate out, get on the end of a couple, and Port Adelaide have struggled in that area, and it's an area that the Bulldogs thrive in. And they're hard nuts around the footy. The likes of Crossing that well on top as well.
Both these clubs in the process of assessing whether they re-sign their coaches as well. Mark Williams at Port Adelaide and Rodney Eade at the Dogs. The last half of the season will have a massive impact on that. As we're underway in the second half here at TIO Stadium in Darwin, and the umpire will be forced to do it again.
Need the first one, Port. They've got to get something going. They've got to kick a couple quickly. They've got to get their hands on the footy first and foremost and start controlling a bit of possession.
Rodney did say pre-game that this is an 8-point game, and they're playing as if it's an 8-point game at the moment. The Dogs will get another ball up. They could be outright third with a win here tonight, and ahead of the pack below them, which feeds all the way down to the Adelaide Crows, who might have the same record as Port Adelaide, 6-5, but are outside the 8. From that ball up again, there's a maul of players around it, and the player's gone down in Picken. Took a dive, the umpire said, by Stuart Wynn. Get a ball up. Still,
the numbers around the ball.
25, 26 players around this ball up. Hudson goes at it. Eagleton had it, lost it. So they were pretty keen to pick a free out of that. Adam Cooney was held before he took possession of the ball. Cooney's ball.
He's had a reasonable game, Adam Cooney. He's had 17 touches. He's working pretty hard as well.
He's missed a couple of games this season, had those problems over summer, knee washout. Needed a bit of time to rest, but he's really started to hit full stride now. Gilbee. Morris. Cross. Well, the 3 Brownlow votes last time these two teams met here, Daniel Cross. Last playing against Port Adelaide, short to Boyd. And now the chip kick is good to Picken. Takes on Cassisi. Pokes it inside 50. Play on it was touched. Hill, slick. Hahn fell over. Throws it out. Pettigrew caught by Picken. Robbie Gray starting to find his feet in his first game back into the team. He was out last week. Pearce beaten for it by Harbrow again. Little tap back. Cross. Little chip kick by Gilbee is okay. Back to Cross. Back to Eagleton. The usual suspects. Wide ball. Akermanis played for the free. Didn't get it. Ball in.
Well, we've spoken about Daniel Pearce plenty. Have a look here. He's having all sorts of problems with Liam Picken now. The umpire said he took a dive and he certainly made more of the contact, but I hope the message from Mark Williams at halftime to Daniel Pearce was run and keep running. And if I don't see you running, I'll take you from the ground.
Gray shrugged the tackle, gave to Pettigrew, wide. J.Westhoff, play on, not 15. K.Cornes hacks it long. Matthew Westhoff thumped away out of his hands. Cross, Gilbee, Cooney. Uncharacteristic fumble, dragged down. Looked to get rid of it legally. Matthew Westhoff got the handball, kicked it towards Tredrea, but it was a poor kick. Lake.
It's a poor kick too. Might wobble to Hargrave.
Hargrave, who just joined us, had 22 possessions in the opening half, to Murphy, to Griffen. Now the leads come.
Go long to
short options, long options, and he elects to go the short. Giansiracusa. He elects to go short into the pocket to Hill. Made to earn it by Pettigrew. Maybe just beyond his range. And they have been centering balls all night, the Dogs, as if that's the call from their coach.
Well, there's a space the other side of the goal square. It's long, but I think from here the percentage kick's probably going to have a shot.
Kick one in the second, and
What's that? What percentage was that, Pickens? Just out of interest?
I didn't say he was going to kick it. I said the percentage was to have a shot. I didn't realise he was going to kick it to the pie stand.
He's kicked that 45 degrees right at the target.
That might be why they're centering the ball tonight.
Maybe.
Well, that did actually, it just slipped straight off the side of the boot, didn't it?
Straight over, thanks, Toby. Jace, you were talking about a little bit of run from Daniel Pearce. Also, Port Adelaide have made a change with P.Burgoyne playing in the back pocket on Daniel Giansiracusa at the moment, just trying to get him into the game and get a little bit of run out of their defence as well.
Yeah, it's a good call, Smithy, because they have looked a bit stagnant at time. And you look at the midfield, you look at players like Carr hasn't got a lot of pace, Cassisi hasn't got a lot of pace, Cornes hasn't got a lot of pace. They need the game breakers. Now, Pearce is one of those. Burgoyne can be another.
Oh, Eagleton slipped in between two who were looking at each other to see who'd go for it. Hahn, told to play on, so he just bangs it home.
They're their own worst enemy at the moment.
I want to have a look at this, Jace, because, I mean, Westhoff's there right now. Who's he kicked that to? I'm not sure.
Burgoyne or Meyer, or did he just sit it in the middle and hope that one of them got it?
Well, I think that's maybe what happened, but gee whiz, had a dirty old night. The Westhoff boys have. They've been really struggling. Matthews had one touch. Justin's had 4, and that was one of his 4. He's going at a kicking efficiency at the moment of 0.
He hasn't qualified yet.
Mitch Hahn. Bulldogs have stopped his midwinter cold cure that he's had for a couple of years. Apparently, in the middle of winter, he used to grab a pizza on the way home quite often and saw his form drop in the second half of the year. So they've decided enough's enough. Monitored his diet instead. Cooney gets it back. Cross. Little handoff from Boyd. Griffen. Minson. Don't argue on Rodan. Shoots it back towards Johnson. He tracks it down. All the way back. Cross handball wasn't all that good. In fact, it was terrible. Gilbee couldn't grab it. Chaplin does. And Matthew Westhoff short to Ebert. Good chance here for Port Adelaide. He hits Tredrea.
That was good. Because they moved the ball so quickly. He had 2 against him, Tredrea. He had one player dropping back behind him and Lake was on him. But he turned and led up to the footy. They were expecting him to work back inside 50. He gets a quick kick from Ebert and he's in range.
Keep Port Adelaide with some hope. From 50, that's a big launch, but it's a little wide. Through 4. No behind.
It's about knowing your teammate as well. They've been playing together a long time, Ebert and Tredrea, but straight to his left side, and he knows that Ebert likes to wheel around on his left, so he got his lead in quick, and the Bulldogs players were both napping. There was 2 of them there.
Yeah, name me one left footer who doesn't wheel around on the left, just out of habit. That's what they do.
Cross. Cooney. Boyd. Back to Cooney. Little tap with the left to Minson. Oh, he played on in trouble there. Chaplin caught him, and now Rodan. So the turnover. Rodan, Cassisi, thought about the handball, chips it wide. Matthew Westhoff. Play on, he went forward, according to the umpire. K.Cornes doesn't want to bang it long. The Dogs have got men back. Back to Matthew Westhoff. About to get caught. Pops it up to brother. Justin drops the mark. Back in, over it, throws it out. Carr. He tries to shuffle it out, Carr. And the umpire will sort it out with another ball up. 33-point margin, the Dogs. Mark Williams with some problems there. Knocked down towards Griffen, but he was wrapped up by Rodan. No prior opportunity, ball up.
Well, his problems are that he's got a forward line that's not working apart from Tredrea, and perhaps Ebert. When you look at, even Ebert's only had 3 touches, but Motlop has only had 3, Pearce has only had 3, the Westhoff boys have had 4 each.
Yeah, and Gray's had 5, so you're right. The forward line hasn't worked, apart from probably Tredrea, who's looked dangerous.
Well, Tredrea's at least moving, and he's presenting and playing with a bit of spunk.
Minson, I should say, Harbrow and Murphy. Minson had the ball along the boundary line out of play. Will Minson, that's the sort of a...
That's it, Minson.
Yeah. Shortened version. There is Winson.
Arms up.
Having a pretty good night at the office.
I'll tell you what, he has had a good night, Winson. You're not wrong.
Winson with the handball off quick. Picken couldn't make something of it. Meyer does. Cassisi.
I don't know what sort of handball that is.
Neither do I. Cross.
You know what that handball's called?
No one to kick to.
No, get it out of my hands. You take it. Pass it on. You have it.
Gilbee wide to Hahn. The Dogs know if they don't do anything crazy, they've got the 4 points in the bag here. They can go into the split round week off pretty happy with their spot on the ladder. They'll be outright third. Chaplin bumped off it. Picken. Callan Ward thrown out of it. Cross. The possession back into the congestion.
This is better though from Port. Much better. They look like they've got a bit of intensity there around the footy. They've nearly 100 possessions to the worst of the Western Bulldogs at the moment. They're just dominating possessions, the Dogs. Cross has had 28 now. Hargrave's still on 23. Cooney's up to 23.
Little palm down, Minson to Ward, missed the target with a handball attempt. Pettigrew, short pass, Tredrea, but he keeps marking them 2 metres too far out to score. Hands off, hasn't been a big night at the office for Motlop. Chip kick wide.
The only positive thing you can say about it is they were trying to move the ball quickly.
Boyd got it back from Murphy. Thumps it long. Hill, big leap and good mark. Dropped it, but we'll pay it anyway.
Oh, Salopek saying what about the push, but that looked to be a pretty good jump. He set himself, Josh Hill. He could see the long kick coming in from Boyd, and he thought his opponent's caught under it a little bit. Have a look at this. Does he use the hands at all? Maybe just a touch, but that's a pretty good leap.
It's a shocking decision to pay that much.
Did he not hold it all the way down?
No, he didn't.
Well, it went through, didn't it?
It's already about a metre away from him. He's trying to scoop it back.
Reminiscent of Gary Abbott's mark of the century that was paid a mark but wasn't a mark. And footy gods are here tonight.
They are, absolutely.
It's a bit warmer.
Now, you know what he had at this stage, Tredrea? Well, he's handballed to a bloke who was not even a half a step away from the bloke who was on the mark.
Yeah.
So you need to get a bit more space than that. But in the goal square, he had Ebert.
Ebert won out, and Ebert was
Harbrow.
desperate. Ebert was desperate for Tredrea to do what Ebert had done for him only minutes earlier.
P.Burgoyne wide to Robbie Gray, half-back flank, halfway through this third term. 34-point lead to the Dogs, which is their equal biggest lead of the game. K.Cornes cut off by Hill. K.Cornes forced to spoil. Marlon Motlop. Logan, he just ducked for the tackle there. Laid. K.Cornes shoots it up. Akermanis back at it. Gets it up. Callum Ward. Higgins.
Big Will.
Minson. Johnson might get there first. Minson, Johnson, take your pick. They both had a chance. And Chaplin took it away.
In fact, Will Minson did everything right. He tried to run a little bit of interference with Troy Chaplin, who is Brad Johnson's opponent. And Johnson really, have a look at Minson here. He realises Johnson's in the van. He just tries to make a bit of contact with Chaplin. He gets a despairing fist in and just gets the ball to bobble out.
It was actually a terrific spoil by Chaplin. That's what it was. It was 1 against 2. They were in all sorts of strife there.
Minson tucked in against the boundary line, trying to pay one back for Jono. Callum Ward ran to a big tackle, Robbie Gray, after the handball from Eagleton. P.Burgoyne, Cornes, Meyer, Brogan, dropped the mark. Hargrave has been superb. Missed the handball up. Welsh couldn't make something of it. Still in there.
Well done. Knock it out. Well done.
Umpire asked for them to knock it out, and they do. Hargrave got it up. Akermanis, Hudson. Chip kick from Picken is marked by Hill.
Starting to look very confident at this level, Josh Hill. They've been very keen to give him an extended run in the ones, and it's really starting to pay off at AFL level. He's played some good games, very dangerous up forward. He can kick 2, 3, 4 goals, good set of hands. Still has to continue to work at the defensive side of his game, but he's got a big future.
Already kicked one, and a couple of out on the fulls now.
That's not much better than his last kick.
No, although it is out on the fulls. So 2 double OFs in a row for Josh Hill. Smithy.
Boys, well, I know you're going to go, oh, it's Jono, but that is an arm chop. I don't care if your arms are out in front or your arms are down below. That is an arm chop.
Smithy.
You are kidding, Smithy.
Pull your head in, mate.
Fair dinkum.
Come on, boys, that's an arm chop.
He had a chance to take a chest mark, and Chaplin got an arm in.
Smithy, you've been found out because half-time you were talking to Jono's father, Bruce, weren't you?
Yes, I was. And he just...
So Dad's come up here to see Jono play. Dad's got in your ear to give a little bit of support for the boy.
Yeah, support him all the way, boys. And that's If we get to a
stage where defenders aren't allowed to throw a despairing hand in to spoil the ball, let's give up, mate.
You're not allowed to arm chop, Jay, so I'm going to stand on my digs here, boys. You're not allowed to arm chop.
I'll tell you, put your digs in the ice room, mate. Cool off for a minute.
He didn't have the arms extended. They were underneath a chest mark.
Yeah, can't get any support there, unfortunately, Rowan.
A little bit of a tangle there. Brendan Lade, who does enjoy a tangle, gets the free from it.
They've played 15 minutes and there's only been one goal scored. It's been by the Bulldogs, so they're holding all right, Port Adelaide. They just don't look threatening up front.
Motlop appears to Pettigrew to a nest of dogs. Giansiracusa, Akermanis, look out! Aker thought about running on.
Well, Michael Pettigrew just ran himself into trouble. If you haven't got a left foot, why run out there and put yourself under the pump like that? You need to stop and go back or hand pass, but he's tried to go for an across-the-body left foot kick in heavy traffic. All he did was turn it over, and they've been duly punished.
He was the villain here for the Dogs last year with the handstand. After the game, the Dogs had banned it. He threw it in.
He is off colour tonight, isn't he?
He is. He's green tonight. He's looking green in the face and that stomach upset, and that is definitely green hair. Whoever his hairdresser is.
Maybe he's been spending a lot of time in the pool. The chlorine. That does tinge green, doesn't it?
Yeah. It certainly is.
Territory boy P.Burgoyne with the kick in.
A bit of lime action going on there.
And a good mark that to Picken.
Oh, he's on again here, Aker.
In fact, it was Ward, Murphy short, Aker again, and this time he says, I'm going to make sure of it.
It's only a matter of time. They're dominating contested possession again in this quarter, the Western Bulldogs. And now it's starting to tell. They're really building up it's 22-10, the contested possessions. And you look at the inside 50s now, it's up to 41-24. It's really starting to be one-way traffic. Not going to miss two in a row.
Lovely. 41 points the margin.
The problem with a kick in from a zone is everyone's sitting up, they're standing in their areas, guarding an area. Now, if you want to go in long from a kick in and you don't hit it right and it gets marked, you'll see at the top of the screen here how many loose players of the Bulldogs have got options there. They're all standing on their own because that kick in was no good from P.Burgoyne.
Well, he's looking for the ruckman, Brogan. He didn't even get it close enough to let Brogan contest.
Took it off the inside of his foot, unfortunately. That hurts.
There's Bruce Johnson there. Brad Johnson's father. Come up to see the boy. And he's been watching him for quite a few games now. 336 games now for Brad Johnson. From the ball up. Knocked down, a little toe out by Griffen. Heads it wide. Higgins picked that up at pace. Hahn got it from Boyd. He goes for goal. Long launch from 50. That's out of here.
Well, it hasn't been a huge night for Mitch Hahn. It's low in possessions. He's only had the 7 touches. They've all been kicks, but now he's got a couple of goals to his name, and that's certainly the highlight of his night. He does a lot of bulldogging work at times, and this one here, you can see the hand pass coming, slip chain. He gets on the end of Boyd's hand pass, has a look at the options and says, I can tee off from here. That's a great finish.
Mitch Hahn, known to slap his own face pre-game to get himself ready to go. Not a bad ploy, if it works. Free kick from the ball up. And Brogan thought it was his. It's Hudson's ball. And Port Adelaide thought it was theirs. They didn't man up. Higgins all the way to 50. Sends it inside. Jono! Back on after a quick rest.
Well,
and he wants to hand off here. He doesn't, though.
I look forward to watching this again because P.Burgoyne was at the back with Daniel Giansiracusa, and I think he was more worried about Giansiracusa than actually spoiling the footy. May have had an opportunity to come over the top.
Careful approach for his second. Oh, it had some bend on it. Squeezes it through. Well,
they're away now, the Bulldogs. It's turning into a percentage booster. This is the free kick. He jumped early, but gee, I don't know if there's a lot wrong because he's got his eyes on the footy, D.Motlop. Not quite sure about that one, but anyway, here comes the ball going forward. The kick comes in. Now we're looking at P.Burgoyne, number 7. No, he was actually well shepherded out of the contest by Daniel Giansiracusa. That's terrific work from Giansiracusa to protect the skipper's back, Brad Johnson.
Josh!
Spitting chips, Dean Brogan.
Big Dean, he's trying
He wasn't happy about that last free kick. Josh Carr just being told, don't strike him. He's having a little bit of to do with Daniel Cross.
He's having a pretty good year, Dean Brogan. He does lead the AFL in hits to advantage. He and Aaron Sandlin's joint leaders on that list. But
look at this, another clearance.
Another clearance to the Dogs here.
4-zip for the quarter.
Welsh. Mark that.
Catch that.
Hahn's under it. Jono went flying high. Akermanis excited by the crumb. Gives to Callum Ward. Centering kick. Cut off by Thurstans.
On that occasion, and see, I think they're a bit like the Cross one. Sometimes you've got to have a shot. I mean, he had a player hard inside. To get the ball enough air to get to a teammate across the face, the left foot shot at goal, I think, would have been ticked off by the coaching box if he had a shot then. Only 25 metres out.
He almost ran himself too far into the pocket before he made a decision late. But he made a quick decision, he would have been... Oh, no. K.Cornes, Akermanis. He was unselfish there. Johnson, Akermanis. Here's the snap. Oh, we love you, Aker.
Oh, he thought it was a goal, Aker. He was celebrating on the ground. They have had... There you go, he's going, that's a goal. Let's have a look. Have a look at Aker after he kicks it. He lies on the ground with the arms up. He thinks he's kicked a goal. Look at him. He's thinking goal.
K.Cornes thought goal.
Yep.
Can't believe it. They've had 100 more possessions, the Western Bulldogs, than their opponents, Port Adelaide, tonight. 100 more.
Thurstans with the 60-metre bomb. Welsh, big fist, straight to Cassisi. Wide, Tredrea. Held up by Lake. Port Adelaide about to get in their half of the ground for the first time for quite a while. Lade, maybe they won't. Lade drops it. Picken gathers. Gives to Lake. Hahn. Gilbee. Akermanis. Too far out to score, Aker. Players feeding back towards the goal square. Lake wants a piece of the action. Aker, it's a wobbler, but it's a magnificent wobbler to Welsh.
Oh, he got missed some time.
And he can kick a long ball, but it's wide. And that's a win for the Dogs.
I'm going to give you some numbers for the quarter. We said it was needed a big effort from Port Adelaide in the third quarter. Total disposals for the quarter, 90 to 46 in favour of the Bulldogs. Contested possessions, 28-11 Bulldogs. Handball receives 41-8 and inside 50s, 14-2.
Yeah, it's officially a pizzling.
nine goals of, what is it?
A pizzling.
Right. Okay,
a flogging, a smashing, a hammering.
What's 10 and 12? Because I think it'll be 10 and 12 before too long here. Surgeon, inboard, Thurstans, Surgeon, Gray. 12 goals 8, plays 4 goals 2.
Let's put it mildly.
Look, it's funny because they got back to within 22 points and somehow they were still in the contest at half-time, but now it is complete domination. They've stopped to a walk. They've got... Oh, we've got blues on the field here between Hargrave and Westhoff. Emergency umpires out there. There was a bit in that, I think.
Yeah, there was. See if our cameras caught that. We might be looking at a fine. A little wrestle behind the play that went for a while. Gilbee stole from Surgeon. Robbie Gray throws it over the head to Pearce. Haven't seen a lot of him tonight. Good pass that to Ebert. Released him in space, and Ebert can line up from 45.
I think this is about where he started the match, Brett Ebert. His first mark was on the lead to a very similar position, and he missed it left. There's Lindsay Gilbee limping off. Hopefully nothing serious.
Jace, he's had that problem at the bottom of his ankle with that cracked bone, so he's been carrying it like a couple of weeks, so I'll just keep an eye on him over the next couple of minutes.
Starts at left. Oh, bit of bow in it. Left to right goal, his second.
Just 4 possessions to Ebert, but I think he's actually tried pretty hard. I know he's not obviously getting a lot of the footy, but he's presented up. He hasn't been used much.
Here's Gilbee.
Yeah, let's have a look at that one.
He just gets tangled up with the legs. Little tangle of legs there.
There's Pearce. You've been asking for a bit more of the ball from Pearce. That's just his 5th touch.
Yep, not enough, unfortunately. Hasn't been a good night for Daniel Pearce.
Ebert on the end of that pass inside 50 by Daniel Pearce. The amazing part about Daniel Pearce's season, it's been up and down, and yet he's 3rd in the AFL this year behind Judd and Jason Graham for kicks inside 50.
He is a super player, Dwayne, and the one thing he's got to realise is that he's actually one of the few players that can inspire his teammates. He's that sort of player that has the brilliance and the individual flair to lift a team, but they just need to see it more often, particularly when he's copping a hard tag. The other player tonight, I thought the stage was set, given we're up here in the top end, for D.Motlop to show us something. Hardly touched it. He's got the 1 goal from the 2 kicks.
Minson with a slap down. Harbrow attacked it hard.
So did Robbie Gray.
Didn't come off, but it was still a good attack. Minson, look away, handball to Griffen. Eagleton, just handballed behind Walsh there. Surgeon gets it up to Tredrea. Danny Meyer.
Nothing wrong.
First game for Port Adelaide has been a tough one for him. Heads long. Motlop, the man you spoke of. A couple to beat here. Hassles off the ball. Little toe poke. Tries to get it to his own advantage. Salopek, Pearce. Just held up there, Marlon Motlop. Pops it back to Salopek in the pocket.
Tredrea's on short.
Heads to the goal square. Did he head for goal? Across the face. Naka got back and marked that anyway.
Well, Ryan Tredrea's got his hands on his knees there. He was in for the square up kick.
He worked hard to get there too after being involved in the middle of the ground.
Now that was an obvious square up. Should have just chipped that into the corridor.
Griffen
shooting from 30 metres.
60-metre pass towards Giansiracusa. Surgeon with a fist thumps it out. 80 plays 32. 48-point lead to the Dogs as we approach three-quarter time.
He's not the most skillful player in the competition, Surgeon, but one thing he gives you his effort every week.
Yep.
Always has a go, and he's done it again tonight.
Griffen pounces, centering kick. Johnson's down there. He's got in the way a little there of Hill. Still a chance for Johnson. Across the face, though.
Oh, I tell you what.
Play.
Sean Higgins had a couple of words with the skipper there. He was in space for a little square up. Didn't get it. Here's Salopek. But at the other end, I reckon Brad Johnson probably should have found Sean Higgins, who was in his rights. And it's good to see a young player actually saying to the skipper, hey, the better option was actually kicking it to me in space.
Cross gave it to him there, gave to Boyd. Harbrow, twist, a turn, a shot. Hill got hands on it, couldn't complete the mark. Out of play. And has someone got a barbecue going here tonight?
Well, if they have, it's a big barbecue because there is a little bit of smoke and haze creeping across certainly one end of the ground.
Yes, the end we're at now. I'm not too sure if you can see it on screen, but Griffen, Akermanis. Picken held long after he got rid of it. Marlon Motlop.
Well, he's got nothing at all on here. He's got to use his skills.
K.Cornes. Danny Meyer. Gone, dead. Good tackle from Lake.
Well, I'm not sure what he was thinking. That's just a lack of awareness for the traffic around him.
Well, as much as a lot of blokes standing still, unfortunately, best to bang it down the line in that situation.
Griffen to Minson. And it was good vision there. All the way back to Boyd. Takes on Carr. Runs to 50. He goes with a long launch. And he nails it. It's party time for the Dogs.
Bit of a slow start, Matthew Boyd, but he's up to 22 and a goal now. And let's have a look at Brian Lake here. Now you see a lot of blokes standing there. Good tackle by Brian Lake.
Oh, he's in his ear.
He's in the young Danny Meyer's here. The big man, the big gorilla. And Big Will. You know you're going well when Big Will's being a bit delicate with the footy. Matty Boyd, good finish.
Matty Boyd kicks the goal and into the cool room. 86-32. Back to the biggest margin of the game. 54 points. Umpire didn't like his bounce.
Reset the square, boys.
Reset the square. Don't reset the clock, though.
Reset.
Umpired pretty well tonight, these guys, I reckon.
As opposed to Smithy, who thought they got that one wrong with Jono.
Well, that's just Rowan.
Short pass. Giansiracusa couldn't find Cross. Well, he couldn't find it. Hahn kicked it into a face.
I don't know what he was trying to do, kicking it in there.
Well, maybe he got the result that he required.
Well, old night, you need your players to have the durability. They've used their bench really well, the Dogs. In fact, we'll check with Smithy in a second what the numbers are up to with interchanges for both sides, because...
Well, they're on track for a record, the Bulls, but you'd expect that given the conditions.
Callum Ward wide. Lindsay Gilbee. Hill. Nice half volley. Eagleton got the arms free. Gets the leg free, but it's touched, and that'll be out of play. The ball in.
And Pickers, just an update on those interchanges. The Bulldogs 91 to Port Adelaide 62, so they are using their bench a little bit better than Port.
What was the record again, Smithy?
119, Jace, was the record, so they might break that tonight.
Absolutely they will.
Seconds continue to roll. Callum Ward gives to Lindsay Gilbee. Behind.
Haven't given a yelp, the Dogs, unfortunately, tonight. Have not given a yelp. Sorry, not the Dogs, the Power, I should say. The Dogs have been outstanding.
Only time enough for a Port Adelaide turnover from this kick in, and on the boundary line, K.Cornes marks. Western Bulldogs trying to establish themselves outright third spot on the AFL ladder behind the big two, and they're on track. They lead by 55 in three-quarter time. 13-9-87. Port Adelaide 5-2-32.
On AFL Sunday at 12:30, two premiership contenders face off. The battling Hawks are flying high, while Bossie's Vikings are determined to put their beating by the Blues behind them.
He's a gun!
Then live at 4, the Crows have clicked into gear. The Kangaroos ravaged with injuries. But can Lathie's Soldiers withstand an Adelaide shootout?
Loads it up and bangs it through.
Hawthorn, Brisbane Lions, Adelaide, North Melbourne. Nothing beats live AFL on Fox Sports.
Buy now and save big in Harvey Norman's massive half-yearly clearance price smash. Italian-made Innocent front loader, 7.5 kg, now $5.96. Red Hot Remington men's shaver, down to a hot $29. Full HD price crash. 40-inch 1080p 100Hz Sony Bravia LCD TV, $1976. Hot price Whirlpool 445-litre frost-free fridge, $992. Get it all now on 19 months interest-free. No deposit, no interest, no repayments till 2011. Harvey Norman's half-yearly clearance on now.
Introducing Rockwell Power Tools. Gentlemen, start your engines. Rockwell. For over 20 years, Hyundai work vehicles have been known for being powerful, hard-working and rugged. Nothing's changed. The iLoad, voted best van of 2009. And for a limited time, it's from only $28,990 drive away. Because it's just as tough, but a hell of a lot easier to park. The iLoad. It's father's one tough mother.
That's my best mate, Jono. Oi, Jono! Oi, Jono!
Oh, Jono's an absolute character. I've known him since primary school. Really? Yeah, he's captain of the footy team, best man at my wedding. Here we go, it's ringing. Come on, Big Johnny. Actually, I don't think that's Jono.
The 4 and 20 Hungry Man, now available in sausage rolls.
My name is Bill. I breed alpacas, not llamas. There's a difference in the two, or I'd be a llama farmer. Alpacas grow wool, but money doesn't grow on trees. So you've got to be mad if you want to raise these. Shearing these buggers is not for the sheepish. The clippers alone are not exactly cheapish. My insurance bloke got me covered with the best, so the wife's getting him an alpaca vest. Whoever you are, Bill. Whatever you do, alpaca alpaca breeder.
We put the U in CGU.
These pure waters are special. Something goes in there, it comes out different. Because this water just makes things better.
Bogue's Draft from the pure waters of Tasmania.
The most anticipated series in 2009.
Australia's Tour of England, every ball live on Fox Sports.
From the ball up. Knocked down, a little toe out by Griffen. Heads it wide. Higgins picked that up at pace. Hahn got it from Boyd. He goes for goal. Long launch from 50. That's out of here. Welcome back to TIO Stadium in Darwin. 3/4 time, and if you're a Bulldog fan, doesn't that look pretty? 13-9, 87 to 5-2, 32. A 55-point lead to the Dogs at the last change. You'd think they're home, and the numbers support the fact that they've had a massive night at the office.
It is. That's the third quarter on its own, and it's virtually 2-1 in most categories. Have a look at the inside 50s. That's just a wealth of football up forward, and they would have been starving. We saw some of their port forwards actually heading into defence to try and get a touch.
Well, a big concern, the contested possessions again. We talked about it pre-game, we talked about it during the game. 110 overall to 66.
Ron Smith downstairs.
Oh, Dwayne, we've seen Lindsay Gilbee actually just hurt his right ankle there in that third quarter. He has been carrying a little bit of that injury over the last couple of weeks. He's got a little bit of a crack on his bone now. He just gets tangled up here and just in the tackle. So it was just a little bit of a slight tweak. Now, I know that he has been carrying it, but he took further. He went back out in that the end of that third quarter, so he'll be okay, no worries. Now, D.Motlop came just to the bench with about 5 seconds to go in that quarter, limping. Now, he went underneath into the grandstand, didn't emerge just at that three-quarter time huddle. I couldn't find him there, so he's still underneath the grandstand as well. And, boys, the players, they haven't got the ice vests out so far tonight up in Darwin. They've been putting a few ice packs on the back, on just rubbing their heads, putting on the back of their necks, just trying to cool their bodies down, because it still is pretty warm down here, boys.
Can I just ask you, Smithy, while we've got you, mate, has it actually got a bit more humid, because it feels like it has up here?
It is still a little bit humid, and that's why we've seen the Western Bulldogs players especially wear those the wristbands, the sweatbands, pickers, and also the gloves, just to keep obviously the sweat off their hands to not cop the ball. So we can see D.Motlop still in the rooms there. Looks like his left ankle is a little bit of a problem, so it hasn't been a good night for Daniel, and it's going to continue tonight, I think, now, boys.
Yeah, missed the last 2 weeks, D.Motlop, so there was a doubt that he'd take his place tonight. And yes, it is a little bit more humid, Liam, in this glass box.
Oh, yeah, doing it tough up here, Dwayne.
Than it is outside.
Oh, please.
Don't look at Jason and I when you say that. K.Cornes, P.Burgoyne, Marlon Motlop to Tredrea, Lake. Tredrea, it's been a pretty good battle. A little sidestep again. Rodan make that 2 sidesteps. Handball terrible. Griffen dropped it. Good tackle, P.Burgoyne.
Was a good tackle.
Just haven't had enough of them, unfortunately.
The captain, Cassisi, Marlon Motlop.
That passage of play then, too many of the Port players peeled laterally, no one forward.
He's bare forward in the Port Adelaide forward line. That kick from Motlop was a shocker.
But Pickers, they had the ball 60 metres out from goal, and I reckon there were 5 options laterally across the outside of the 50-metre arc, and all the Bulldogs did was send all their players back in the attacking 50. What hope have you got of pinpointing a forward?
Marlon Motlop from the Wanderers up here in the territory, yes, the Motlops are. Ball down, P.Burgoyne. And again, Brogan turns it over. Griffen, stole him back. Nice play, but kick smothered off P.Burgoyne's boot. And it rolls out of play.
When you've got the ball, you've got control of where you kick it. And you can see it, Tredrea really short, but that kick there, now, that is nearly as low a percentage kick as you can kick inside 50. I know he's a young player, but you've got to be better than that.
the sort of kick you do if you're kicking to Wayne Carey. But he's about the only one with Tony Lockett. Anyone else, it's a no-go zone.
Motlop to Salopek off the side of the boot. Out on the full.
Looked like in that pie stand. He's had a couple of possessions tonight.
Yes.
Josh Hill hit him on the chest earlier. Now Salopek.
His barbecue did cloud the ground and smoke for a while, but he's enjoyed his night. So too is Ryan Hargrave, by the way. Possession number 27 for Ryan Hargrave. And we saw him get in a little bit of a stoush earlier on with J.Westhoff.
Yeah, his direct opponent, who's had 4 touches, Dwayne. So maybe he was just saying, I've had a little bit more football than you, young man.
Not the kind of guy to tangle with Ryan Hargrave. He's trained in martial arts.
He's let the odd one go.
Yeah.
History tells us too.
The only reason he stopped training martial arts last year is because he broke his instructor's leg. So not the kind of man you want to mess with. Hudson. Held up at half-back. On cue, Hargrave gets possession number 28.
Well, he's a bit of an unsung hero on this Bulldog side. He plays on talls and smalls.
Yeah, very flexible, isn't he?
Dale Morris does a job every week. Brian Lake's a very good player. They get Tom Williams back, another tall defender. They're shaping up as a real deal to me, the Dogs.
I think he is an unsung hero. Here he is again. If you play 150 games without a Brownlow vote, you're an unsung hero. Long kick inside 50, and this is game 151 for him. Thurstans got it up to Chaplin, and he rolls it wide. Westhoff, Matthew, corralled by Hargrave. Rolls it along the line to Surgeon. Akermanis tracks him down, Justin Westhoff. He's corralled by Welsh. Surgeon again. Did well. Gathers. Continues to kick it along the line. Open space. Race on. The Dogs with the numbers here. Nice pick up on the run, Gilbee. Cooney. They know they've got this one in the bag. Lake. Cooney. Welsh just inside the line.
You don't want to go to a break, a mid-year break, when you've got a couple of weeks before you can make amends for a really poor effort. And at the moment, Port Adelaide, you just got a feeling they might get really blown out of the water here, unless they can find something. And handballs like that don't help.
Of course. Salopek had to give it back. Oh, no. P.Burgoyne, make something of that if you can. Dogs with the numbers, as we mentioned. Picken scoops it up. Now Eagleton can look at the goal square here if he wants to. The lead comes short. Heads long, goal square. Giansiracusa gets back, marks it on the line. Now it'll come back. Aker has to give it back. Pushed around on the angle. And now he takes off. And the umpire will make him come back again. Gee, it was a good one too.
He kicked it. He kicked it. And that's the look of dismay on the face. He goes, oh, you're kidding. I've just snapped a ripper with the left foot and I've got to come back and do it again.
Not a bad idea, though, to have a sighter like that, just to see how you're going. Even if you know you're going to have to be dragged back.
The only problem is... Oh, he's got to wait again.
He won't allow that to Cooney. So he's passed to Aker, not allowed. Kick to goal, not allowed.
Well, he's got to
pass to Cooney, not allowed.
He's got to blow the time back on, no?
Well...
Now, there it is. Now we can go.
Stuart Wynn telling him when.
And you expect him to go out the left again.
Here he goes. Had the cider. After all that, like shelling peas.
Too skillful, too classy, the Western Bulldogs, and it's kicks like that. They've had all the answers. We saw, look, he works hard all the time, K.Cornes. He's up to 29 possessions, but he had 2 very poor hand passes in a row that just didn't help. That's one of them. That created the turnover. That was the second of the 2. And then the long kick going forward from Eagleton found Giansiracusa. And you see a lot of players, most players these days kick bananas, but he went out on the opposite foot. There's D.Motlop in the rooms. He's still limping. He's had trouble with that left ankle, but that doesn't look overly encouraging, although he heads out the door and back up the race.
I think he can get the civvies on, surely.
Well, I don't think there's much point bringing him back out, is there?
Well, he's got a 2-week break now to get over whatever the problem is. Rodan, kick cut off, Harbrow.
Although having said that, there's probably a few blokes looking for a spell at some stage, given the humid conditions and the lack of rotations when you're one down.
I wouldn't take the chance to make his injury worse just through
they won't
want for rotation.
If there's a chance of
Gilbee
making that injury worse, they won't play him.
Gilbee short to Eagleton. Higgins. Minson. Bumped off it. Pearce. Tredrea. And he handballed back to Westhoff. It's been a strange game to watch. Port Adelaide's game tonight. Callum Ward shoots toward attacking 50. No free there to Hill. Pettigrew. A wobbler towards the wing, and the race is on. Boyd sits under it. Carr, Boyd, Carr falls. And Boyd collects. Harbrow. Just trickling his way to 200 games now, Josh Carr. Just not quite working for him. This is game 196 for him.
10 possessions tonight, just the 2 kicks.
Griffen, and that's a magnificent kick. Giansiracusa, who kicked the last one.
Josh Hill might be on here.
And Josh Hill is on. That's a spear to the chest of Josh Hill.
But Pettigrew had to stop his run. That was the only spot he could have led. There were numbers on the other side. He had to just take the body through the ball, so take the body through his opponent, so he just blocked up that space. You can see he was just waiting for someone to present. Just ran laterally across into space.
And with ease, the Dogs extend the margin to 67.
What I really like about this Bulldogs performance tonight is it's even contributions throughout the whole side. And great effort one-on-one by Boyd against Carr. But you've got 2 goals from Johnson, 2 from Hahn, 2 from Hill, 2 from Minson, singles from Gia, and all these blokes like this. That kick was a beauty from Griffen. And if we look up here, Giansiracusa is looking up now. He's looking for someone to present. Now, he started on the left of screen there, Hill. Look where he's run to. No pressure. Too easy.
10 goal scorers again tonight, the Dogs, and it has been their forte this year, spreading the goal load. And Josh Hill has 2 of the 10. 67 the margin. Lade took it out of the air, but Minson hassled him off it. The Dogs continue to fight on. A no percentage could be a factor come September.
A little bit undermanned, Port Adelaide tonight. The Dogs near full strength, but you'd expect a better effort like this, knowing you've got a week off as well.
Rodan. And that's a fantastic mark by Morris. Options, plenty of them. Gives to Lake, who might have to go back again. And they'll probably come to the open side, or at least back into the corridor. Picken sold the dummy to a couple. Sends it along. Giansiracusa and Murphy back on. And they both get a touch. Giansiracusa pokes it to Lindsay Gilbee. Swoops on it. He's got the man inboard, and that man, Higgins. He did throw it to Akermanis. He'll kick the goal. He's missed a couple tonight, Aker.
I reckon Josh Hill was on over the top too.
He's got the big milestone looming too, Jason Akermanis. He's got the 400 goal milestone staring him in the face. Kicked 397 now.
Have a look at Josh Hill.
That's a throw, surely.
He was in the square on his own, just snaps it too far, Jason Akermanis. It was a strange hand pass from Higgins, wasn't it?
I don't think you can possibly handball a ball with your right hand to that position without throwing it. I think it's impossible.
Thurstans. Yeah, there's no difference between an accidental slip and a throw, is there, really?
No.
Pettigrew. Johnson! Almost. Did he slap that down? Picken, Gilbee, Akermanis. It's a procession.
Oh, look at this.
And look at that. Unselfishly, although it'll be cut off.
So he wouldn't go over the goal square then?
Welsh. It's just too easy for them. He thumps it back. Akermanis!
What?
It flew
was he trying
about 8
to do
seconds
there?
Before the ball got there.
Come to think of it, I don't ever recall Aker taking the big high mark, and I think he just told us or showed us why.
Yeah, I think his best bet's on the ground.
He was up and down before the ball got there.
Could have jumped a second time. Danny Meyer.
Look, there's nothing to kick to again, though.
Matthew Westhoff with Hahn and...
On a free.
Yeah, Hahn lost that battle because he was too strong.
Did some nice things, Danny Meyer, tonight. His first game.
Just turned 21 last week, Matthew Westhoff, so still thin of build and young of years. Cassisi. Justin Westhoff calling for an inside 50.
Burgoyne short.
P.Burgoyne takes the mark. St Mary's boy from up here. Played rugby union for the Territory as a teenager and then decided that AFL was more his go. Just pops it to D.Motlop over his head. Good chance. Justin Westhoff. Nice consolation prize.
A very good lesson to be learned there for Scotty Welsh. Scotty Welsh, he's battled tonight and he's having a spell in defence. He was on Justin Westhoff and he just sat off him. He sat off him 5 metres because he didn't think he was in a position to get the footy. But as a backman, your first job is actually to stay on your man. In the end, it was Matthew Boyd that tried to smother it for him, but he was left lamenting with his hands on his hips 5 metres away, Scott Welsh.
Called Napoleon Dynamite in his early years because he was a lookalike Justin Westhoff, more a biblical look now. A full beard. Seen a few good ones in the crowd tonight too. And a vocal crowd, and they've enjoyed this contest because the majority of them Dogs fans, and they love Aker. Gives it up to Hill, runs into 40. He's got 3. Just the standard brilliance from Josh Hill.
So we go back to how hard the Power had to work for their goal, and then goes back to the centre square, gets bounced down. Not a Port Adelaide player touches the ball. Josh Hill runs onto a ball inside 50, just pops it through as easy as you like.
What was Brendan Lay doing? He just allowed the ruckman, Hudson, to grab the ball, turn around and kick it.
He's been good though, Josh Hill, tonight.
He has.
Really impressed with his effort.
So they'll eclipse the 9-goal margin they defeated Port with last year here, TIO Stadium. And speaking of biblical looks, there's been some fantastic beards.
Many better than that.
You and I will be joining them after.
Was that Noah or Moses?
I'm not sure, but the Dogs have been parting the seas with ease today. Rodan, slick to P.Burgoyne.
Tredrea.
Little tap down. Ebert tried to slip it to Westhoff. Slaps it on. Rodan. Oh, held his streak nicely. Gave to Cassisi. And they might make this margin a little less by full time. The Dogs might be spent.
Well, they'd love a few late goals, Port Adelaide, if only for a little bit of respectability on the scoreboard, although even that is a long way off, I think. We mentioned prior to the game, their average losing margin is 42 points, Port Adelaide, and that is the worst record of any team in the competition. Even Melbourne's average, the bottom team that's only won 1 game, has a better average losing margin than Port Adelaide. So when they get beaten badly, Port Adelaide.
Just to extend your point, Jason, it won't get any easier for Port Adelaide after the break. They have Geelong at Skilled Stadium after the week off. The toughest job in footy right now. Although a night game against the Saints that Eddie had's a pretty tough one as well. Harbrow pops it wide. Callum Ward's had a good night.
He's impressive, Dwayne. The more you see him, the more you like him. 25 possessions. He's kicked a goal. Great work rate.
Back to Harbrow, to Johnson. Pumped off it. Pettigrew.
Good kick.
11 minutes from full time. The Dogs have had the 4 points wrapped up for a while. K.Cornes, Logan, P.Burgoyne. Back to Logan. He's got Ebert calling for it. Puts it in that direction with the reach. Marks on 50. He can get his 3rd. K.Cornes. Too far out to score. Feeds it off Logan. Decides not to kick a long ball. Goes to the pocket. And that is a 3-grab jogwood mark to Morris.
Just gets the job done, Dale Morris.
Yep.
You wouldn't recognise him at Forges and Footscray. No one knows who he is. He's All-Australian last year. He'll be All-Australian nearly again this year, but he keeps a low profile. And what gets the job done every week. He's been great again tonight.
Move it on now. Play on.
Boyd called to play on. Shuffles it wide. Long kick from Gilbee. Out of side. Big leap from Minson and Cross. Neither could mark it. Ball in. 11,306 tonight. Not a full house. Good to see footy up here at the top end. So many players coming into the AFL system from the territory now. 1 in 10 AFL footballers Indigenous or of Indigenous origins. Ward again, short to Hill.
Could end up with 4 goals.
Good lead from Johnson.
Yeah. And he takes the easy mark on his chest.
He came from the far pocket around the back of traffic at full tilt, and Troy Chaplin just couldn't go with him. And that's the one thing that helps you play into your 30s and play well, is when you maintain your leg speed. Brad Johnson still has that.
For number 3 for Jono. Peels it back. Sensational kick.
Leg speed, and he's got an unbelievable motor. I feel wrong speaking about Brad Johnson. I'm not leaving it to Rowan Smith, but his work rate tonight again. He has. I think he's had a terrific battle with Troy Chaplin. I think he's done pretty well in the one-on-ones, considering the amount of ball the Bulldogs got inside 50, with 56 entries to 34. But it can't be denied. He just keeps working hard and presenting it. Even this deep into the last quarter, he's still pushing up.
Mark Williams with some problems. And Brad Johnson, he's the last of the 2 players from the 1993 draft. Brad Johnson, he was pick 11 back in 1993. The same year, Kangaroo Adam Simpson was pick 13 in that draft. And Simo, of course, plays his 300th game for the Kangaroos tomorrow against Adelaide. And both players still firing for their respective teams. And Jono, on cue, doesn't get paid the mark. He thought he had it. Chaplin wide.
Yeah, and if you look down the boundary line, you'll see Rowan Smith going spare at the emergency umpire, Dwayne. But that mark wasn't paid.
Logan heads wide. Robbie Gray.
Just joking.
K.Cornes. Chip kick. Minson with the reach.
Now, it's funny we mentioned Minson. I was about to say, you know what one of the biggest disappointments for Port has been tonight? They've got the 2 top ruckmen in Lade and Brogan, and they have been comprehensively outplayed by Minson and Hudson. Minson's had 22 possessions, kicked 2 goals. Hudson 14 possessions. You'll find that Lade's had 11 and Brogan the 6. They really haven't been involved in play other than contesting the hit-outs.
And this has been one of his biggest possession games for the year. Well, Minson, he hasn't been getting big numbers. Last week he had just 3 kicks against Richmond.
He's done it all tonight.
He has. Good tackle there. Of course, last year here, he had the big controversy, Will Minson, when he, as we see Brad Johnson not get paid this one. Bad luck, Smithy.
I would have nearly paid that mark, actually.
Got a fair piece of it. What do you think, Rowan?
That's definitely a mark, boys.
Yeah, Will Minson last year he had that sledge of K.Cornes, which was an ugly sledge of K.Cornes' young, ill son, and he did apologise straight after the game to K.Cornes, and he did say, Will, it knocked him around a little bit. He didn't mean for it to come out like that, but gee, he is going to be very important for the Dogs in this premiership push.
He is, and I've got to say I'm with Smithy on that last one. I reckon it was a mark to Johnson. Yeah. Those hit-outs, even the hit-outs favour the Western Bulldogs tonight, 32-25. So they've been flogged, Lade and Brogan.
Jace, we spoke about them double-teaming, Lade and Brogan double-teaming before the game. That is the first contest just right now, just with that last stoppage, was the first time that they played together.
Josh Carr put down legally, I must say. Boyd, Jono nearly crunched by Martin Motlop.
They're all slipping through their hands
He should have been crunched, but he wasn't, because it was a pretty timid bump in the end, Wade.
Boyd, Griffen, Cooney, Hudson strolls in. It's a delight to watch this Dogs lineup. They are superb.
Well, obviously getting slippery down there. K.Cornes has fumbled a few. He's got terrific hands, but the steam train coming out of the fence here. Look at the pressure here. Good hit by Boyd on Carr.
Have a look at this, though, because he's just come off the bench, Marlon Motlop, and he's got Brad Johnson cold, and look what he does.
Yeah, very good call.
That is just it's almost a timid bump. At this level, you can't do it. And look, he'll learn from that. He's a young player just finding his feet. But I'm sure they'll speak about that during the week, because that's not acceptable.
Hudson spent there on the bench having a rest and might go to the cool room. 7 minutes from time. biggest lead of the game, 74 points.
I reckon we've learned a couple of things today. We watched Port Adelaide and Fremantle last week in the wet, and the big bloke Lade played the best game I've seen him play all year. Josh Carr was pretty good. We get to a hot day, dry conditions where you got to run, and I'm sorry, but I don't think you can play those players. You certainly can't play Josh Carr against a running Bulldogs side. For mine, I mean, he's been a terrific battler.
Yep.
Been a very good player, I should say. A bit of a warrior for Port Adelaide and Fremantle, but she's been run off his legs tonight, Josh Carr, and the big fellas are struggling too.
Oh, they are walking it in.
Welsh loops it over the top. Higgins. Got a little shepherd from Aker there. Handball inboard, and Hill. He keeps it alive, gives it back. Higgins kicks the goal. This is top class at the top end.
Well, it's top class from the Western Bulldogs, but it is anything but from Port Adelaide. They have virtually given up. There's no defensive chase. Higgins ran into space on his own. Surgeon had to leave his man, which is Akermanis, and come out to put the pressure on. Even here, I mean, they had an opportunity to close that down. They didn't. It's just the work rate's been deplorable from Port Adelaide tonight.
Higgins, who is essentially the new Brad Johnson in many ways, isn't he? Brad Johnson of the future.
Midfielder, come forward, can do it all. Beautifully skilled. Takes a good mark for his size as well. 80 points, that's looking nasty, and we keep talking about it. Port Adelaide, they've had 6 wins for the year. They've played 6 really good matches. All the other losses, bar one, they've been belted.
Cassisi with the inside 50 for Port Adelaide. Ball thumped away from J.Westhoff. Harbrow, another solid game in defence from him. Gilbee, cross. Back to Gilbee, and now long. Picken. He's an essential player for them at the moment as well. Bounces his way inside 50, sizes them up, can go all the way home. Higgins almost back with the flight. No mark.
Liam Picken is up to 14 possessions. He has a goal. Daniel Pearce is at 8 possessions for the game.
From the contest, Akermanis nearly stole it. K.Cornes, Brogan, Cassisi, little fumble. Aker got the tackle on him. Logan, ball slapped away. Callum Ward, Logan dives back in with 5:40 on the clock. We'll get a ball up, and just on the Will Minson possessions, mentioned that he had a 3-kick game against Richmond last week. Well, his current 22 possession game is the best possession game of his career tonight. Giansiracusa with space, with time, with an errant kick.
You also mentioned that he didn't prepare himself for this game properly last year, Dwayne, and he found himself knackered after the warm-up.
Yeah.
Well, he's prepared himself beautifully tonight.
That's the professional terminology in AFL footy these days.
Knackered?
I think it sums it up.
Look at this, though. Look at this. Nowhere to go because no one's running, no one's moving.
No, a few Port Adelaide players might find themselves at the knackery this week too. Well, ball out of play, 125 to 44.
Let's put it in perspective here. The Dogs have had it 460 times. They're Geelong-like numbers. That's how much of the ball the Bulldogs have had tonight. They could end up with over 500 possessions here. It's an amazing amount of footy.
By the way, Ben Hudson had just 2 kicks last week as well. He's had 15, so Hudson's joined the party in the ruck as well. 15 possessions for him tonight.
He's been pinged here, Liam Picken for holding the arm of Daniel Pearce, but this is just his 4th kick. He's found it a tough night.
Pearce, so he'll get another inside 50 to his name, and Lade. Umpire got on his way.
Umpire put a terrific block on there.
Well, Brendan Lade's telling umpire when exactly where.
Brendan Lade, I tell you what would have been interesting is if Brendan Lade cleaned up the umpire there.
Oh, the umpire.
You cannot blame the player because he's leading directly to the footy. It's 5 metres away. He would, if the umpire's not there, Brendan Lade marks the footy. It is a perfect kick. Oh, he's lucky he didn't get poleaxed, the umpire.
That's a free, surely.
Well, he should have got the ball. You look at that, and the players brush an umpire and get fined $2,000.
Yeah.
Now, that's cost potentially Port Adelaide a goal.
On a night when they haven't had too many.
Motlop.
It's costly, isn't it?
I was only joking about the free, by the way. Callum Ward.
Oh, he's going to hit him on the back.
Handball to Hargrave's back. Did cross. Ebert. 4 minutes from full time. And they continue to pound that pressure in. Ebert, D.Motlop. They forced Port Adelaide all the way back to the middle. Ebert. Matthew Westhoff. Caught by Gilbee. They forced them back to the middle again.
Oh, this is going to be interesting.
Higgins long to Akermanis. In a one-on-one. Surgeon. Akermanis. Akermanis senses him. Looks inboard. That's a brilliant kick to the goal square. Giansiracusa was going to let it roll through.
He stole it off him.
Highway robbery.
Now, the big question mark here, Pickers, is was Aker passing it or shooting for goal?
Passing it. He hasn't been able to kick one all night, so he's just sort of passing it. Nearly went through. He was passing that, no doubt, here to Gia.
Yeah, I think so. And in the end, the kick slewed around. He probably needed to kick that, Giansiracusa, because it was close to the right-hand goalpost. Take it.
There is a rule where if you kick it on the line and your foot travels through with the ball, it's a behind. So Giansiracusa had to be pretty careful there.
462 the numbers for the Dogs. See if they can get them to 500. They're going to have to get their wriggle on with a lot of little handballs here.
87 points. Biggest lead of the game. Cassisi dragged down.
Let's have a look at this one. This is what you call Cross's handballer, but what's happened here? Hargrave's looking the other way. Turn around, mate.
Well, he thought it was going to Higgins. He was actually looking to make a block, a shepherd for Sean Higgins.
They've played really unselfish footy tonight, the Dogs. Shared the ball around. They've only got 2 players under 10 possessions, double figures, and that's Hahn with 9 and Welsh with 9.
Akermanis having a rest, and 11 separate goal scorers again. It's pushing the back. P.Burgoyne trying to look a little Judd-like.
Interesting look, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, they need Sean Burgoyne back in his team desperately in the midfield.
Yeah, maybe K.Cornes, Alapate, Carlisle, Travis Boak and Matt Thomas. But anyway, they even with those players in tonight, you doubt they would have made an 87-point difference.
Right.
Rodan, Chaplin, the mummy. Turnover. And they've got players running. Johnson, Eagleton, back to Johnson. He had Welsh, Scott Minson.
Winson.
There he is.
Big Mill Winson.
Oh, Wilbur, don't do anything silly. Just go back and kick the goal. He's having a night to remember. He's now lining up for his 3rd goal. He wants to handball it to Gilbee, but the Port players...
He's making out there, isn't he?
Of course he is.
He also telegraphed it.
That's the oldest trick in the book. Next he'll pretend he's going to pass it, he'll slip. We've all done that. Big Will's had a big game. If he can finish off here with another goal, you need to get him in the votes.
20 gone. Got the call from the umpire.
Possession number 23 for goal number 3. That's what he has ahead of him.
Wow.
Wilbur.
Put your arms up, Will. Celebrate it for us. You might get the 3 votes from the umpires tonight.
Comprehensive, the Bulldogs bigman, comprehensive smashing of Brogan and Lade by Minson and Hudson. But that kick from P.Burgoyne, last year they moved him to the half-back flank and he looked terrific, directing traffic, controlling the flow of the football, but that's not a kick that he's going to like watching too much on the video replay.
Smithy, welcome back.
Yes, thanks, Dwayne. Well, the Bulldogs have just broken the interchange record. They've just made their 120th interchange tonight, boys.
Still a couple of minutes to go. The margin stands at 93. Lake and Tredrea pursue it. Ebert, that's a little high, that tackle, surely.
What I like about what we're seeing with the Dogs tonight, there's no let-up.
No.
Even that attack on the ball by Cross and the effort by Lake, you know, the bump. Didn't want to get beat, didn't want to have a possession against him, even this late in the game.
Boyd, the Giansiracusa direction. Toe poke inboard. And Matthew Westhoff ridden a little by Welsh.
Probably been the one player that's missed out tonight, Scott Welsh. Just the 9 possessions, 1 behind to his name. Even spent a little bit of time in defence, but when you get 21 out of 22 players making a significant contribution, you know you're going to have a pretty resounding victory. And that's exactly what the Bulldogs have got. And conversely, you could go through the Bulldogs list and probably say there's a dozen players that really haven't contributed at all.
Surgeon.
Well, I think what we're looking at is a team that's a genuine flag contender against a team that we all fell into at the start of the year. They have got a couple of injuries, but they're not playing with anywhere near the spirit that's required at this level. And their inconsistent performances and the fact that they're, as you said earlier, Jason, they're losing margins 42 points, probably sums up where Port Adelaide are at. They may sneak into the 8, but they're not going to cause too much trouble to the good sides. Unfortunately for the Port supporters at home. Dismal effort.
Dogs will head into the break. Outright third on the AFL ladder. We have the date with North Melbourne at the MCG in a couple of weeks. As I said earlier, Port Adelaide have Geelong at Skilled Stadium. Acker, a little untidy. Salopek.
It is disappointing for Port supporters, and a lot of them also made the trip up here. They've got a lot of support up here, Port Adelaide. A lot of we saw a lot of people jumping on the plane in Adelaide this morning.
Full of hope.
Caught the same flight up. Going home with, I think, that hope severely deflated in terms of the rest of the season.
Western Bulldogs have not won a premiership since 1954. But the Dogs are barking. They're a contender in 2009. And they have smashed Port Adelaide at TIO Stadium by 93 points. 21-11, 137 to Port Adelaide. 7-2, 44, with another big spread of goal scorers and another huge spread of possession getters again, led by Daniel Cross with another 37. 21-11, 137 is 7-2, 44, and you would presume that Rowan Smith will be trying to have a chat with his mate Brad Johnson.
No, I think not.
Gee.
Let's get down there. He might be with Daniel Cross.
He brushed him and he had to go to Daniel Cross.
No, well, I am with Daniel Cross. Now, Cross, you look like you've made a little bit of a statement tonight, mate.
Yeah, look, we really rate them as a side, and we just wanted to man up on them. Try and keep them to as many contested possessions as possible, because they're a great running side, and we man up really well today, and I'm really proud of all the boys.
And you were playing for outright third position as well, so if you had a loss tonight, you would have been back into that pack, so it was a pretty important win too.
Yeah, my word, and we've got the break now, so we'll rest up well, and you know, we love coming up here. It's a great ground, and we've got really good support up here, so we really enjoy it.
You just mentioned the break. Were the boys looking forward to it, obviously?
Yeah, certainly after tonight, we're gasping for air there in the last quarter, all of us, I think. But just shows how fit we are. Bill Davern's done a great job with us over the pre-season, and the boys are reaping their rewards now.
What about the heat? You trained in the heat chamber. Is that obviously something that you have to do coming up here playing against up in Darwin?
Yeah, certainly, and we've learnt from years gone past that it might give us a 1 or 2% advantage. I think they did it as well. But you try and do anything to get an edge up here, but it certainly doesn't simulate the match itself. So yeah, it's just a great effort in trying conditions.
What about yourself? You've actually got a sore hand. I'm just going to ask you if you've got a sore hand or not.
No.
Because you had 30 handballs tonight, so that's why. So go and ice your... well done, congratulations on the win, and go and ice your hand.
Yeah, thanks, Bob, thank you.
That is a good job, isn't it? 30 handballs for Daniel Cross. When was the last time someone had 30 handballs, Wayne?
Well, he is Mr. Handball, as I said earlier. 4 kicks and 20 handballs last week. That ratio of 7 kicks, 30 handballs tonight. We may be seeing a ratio that we've never seen before in footy. He is leading the handballs in the AFL, and it seems to work for him.
Well, there's two things there, is that he's got the runners around him, so he works to his strengths.
Yep.
And two is his split of contested and uncontested possessions, 16 contested, 23 uncontested.
Jason Dunstall and Liam Pickering to wrap up after this. The Western Bulldogs now have an 8-4 record heading into the break. 93-point winners in Darwin.
Monday's massive night of AFL kicks off at 7:30 with all the latest highlights on AFL winners.
And nails a beauty.
Then live at 8:30, join James, Jared and Mike as they dissect all the hot AFL topics. 3 times Premiership captain turned coach Michael Voss joins them live on the couch with his take on the season so far. Monday's massive night of AFL. AFL winners 7:30, on the couch 8:30. Fox Sports 1.
You do want to be very smart with your money these days.
Everyone's trying to save money where they can.
If you want value, there's only one word you need to know, and that's Bunnings.
Heavy duty bypass pruner, just $5.48. Gap seal, $2.20 each. Ryobi circular saw, $99. 3-step folding ladder, $35.90. Pack of 6 energy saving globes, only $18.
Everybody loves good value.
Bunnings Warehouse. Lowest prices are just the beginning.
There's a change in the air at McCafe. Now we're freshly baking a new range of delicious pastries in-store throughout the day. So come and try a new freshly baked pastry at McCafe today.
In these uncertain times, many feel they're not just standing still, they're actually going backwards. However, over 500,000 Australians are moving in the right direction with one of Macquarie's cash solutions, including the first and largest cash fund in the country. With them comes access to research, rated #1 by Australia's leading fund managers. So instead of being stuck in reverse, have a chat to your financial advisor or ask Macquarie how their forward-thinking cash solutions can get your assets forward-moving.
It's another day. Tough work. Ain't got time to play. Tough work. Keep my motor on. Tough work. Till the job is done. Tough work. From the morning light. Tough work. Till the late night. Tough work. In the heat or snow. Tough work. Bringing home the dough. Tough work. Word. Tough work. Word. You got it. Tough work. Word.
Club dark chocolate. Stir something deep inside.
Catch the Fox Sports News morning session for all the overnight scores and match reports for every game of the ICC World 2020.
You've got to be kidding me.
Cricket on Fox Sports News. How good is it? Wimbledon, the Ashes and the Open. The battles of Britain all in July, all on Fox Sports. London's calling the finals of Wimbledon. Tennis royalty out to claim the crown. Anglo-Aussie relations stretched to breaking. The first and second test, every ball live. The Open Championship, every round live. Can Tiger stop Harrington lifting the jug for a 3rd consecutive year? The battles of Britain, nothing beats July on Fox Sports. That's fantastic.
It's all over at TIO Stadium. One-way traffic, and it was all the Bulldogs. 93 points, the final margin. They led from go to woe, 21-11, 137 to a paltry 7-44 from Port Adelaide. And they had contributions from just about every player out on the ground. Hill, Johnson, Minson, all finished with 3. A personal best for Minson in terms of his possessions. And you could look. They just dominated possessions. All the players got to sway them. Ebert, the only multiple goal scorer for Port Adelaide. It was a pretty sorry evening from a Port Adelaide perspective. Pickers, you look at the stats, that's a thumping in any way, shape and form that you look at it.
Well, 130 more possessions for a start for the Bulldogs over the Port Adelaide. Look at the contested possessions, 141 to 102. We know Port, if they're not competitive there, they don't really win games. 61 inside, 58 to 38. You're not going to win too many games if you're Port Adelaide if you've got those numbers.
We thought Port Adelaide still had a sniff at half-time. I think it was 28 points was the margin. They were hanging in there, still within 5 goals. They needed to come out after half-time, get off to a good start. Well, it was anything but. It was all the Bulldogs, and they just started to pile on goal after goal as they dominated the inside 50s.
And I think Rodney would be really happy with the fact that it was a 4-quarter performance. They played a half against Sydney 2 weeks ago, and then last week they played a really good second half against Richmond.
Yep.
Tonight it was the pressure on for 4 quarters. They got plenty of the ball. They shared the ball around in their forward 50. Their midfield was on top. Anything that went into the fence was repelled away as well. It was a real team effort tonight.
Yeah, I love the way they worked at both ends of the ground, and it seemed that whether they were in defence or up forward, they actually had more numbers than the opposition. Now, that's really saying something. Loose players running into the attacking 50. Higgins on this occasion. In the end, it's almost like a training drill, some of the goals they kicked.
Well, it's got to be easy. And that's probably a bit about the dominance of the Dogs.